affirm with you that the labor movement is built on solidarity. We reaffirm with you our joint commitment to principles and policies that put working people first. Both CEP and CAW have strong, proud traditions that will serve your new union well. Building on these traditions will ground you and help all working people in Canada. As our fights with Caterpillar and Rio Tinto have taught us, unity and commitment are necessary to win battles for workers and our communities. Your commitment to standing up for the working class and maintaining Canada's middle class, your fight for equality on all fronts, your struggle of workplace safety, your commitment to fair wages and benefits for all workers, and your history of fighting greedy multinationals and conservative politicians will serve you well and be a strong basis for unity and solidarity in the labor movement. As this important time in your history, we, the United Steelworkers, offer you our hand in friendship and show you the respect and solidarity you rightfully deserve. We pledge to work with you arm in arm in the struggles ahead. Good luck and have a great convention.
Hello, brothers and sisters. I'm so glad to be able to send a message of greetings during this momentous convention, bringing together two great organizations into one new, powerful, important workers' organization. Canada needs the labor movement more than ever. It needs your progressive politics. It needs your democratic work in workplaces across this country. Workers need you to reach out and defend them and advance their issues right across Canada. Thank you so much for all the hard work you've done to bring your two organizations together. And as a very proud union member, as a proud member of Parliament, I look forward to working with you. I look forward to the Canada we will build together in this 21st century. Thank you, and enjoy this momentous convention.
Congratulations, sisters and brothers, for making the monumental decision to form this new union. I can't tell you how excited I am on a personal level, but more importantly in the Canadian Labour Congress, to congratulate you on this monumental decision. Both the CAW and the CEP has a long history in struggling for working people throughout this country. And your decision to form a new union not only will give new energy and vitality to the labour movement, but also will be ensuring that the entire 300,000 members will have a strong voice throughout this country from coast to coast to coast. I want to congratulate both Brother Dave Coles and Brother Ken Walenza for their monumental decision to form this new organization. And I know in the Congress we will have a proud affiliate who will ensure that working people's struggle continue to be a center of their decision. And more importantly, I know the 300,000 members who will belong to this new union are going to get the best service from the best union that we can offer. On a personal note, I also want to say I'm going to be proud to be a member of this new union and as also be an officer of the Canadian Labour Congress. Thank you so much, and congratulations on this incredible decision. Let's, of course, try to work to change this country and take back what is rightfully ours, and put a working people's agenda back on the table and try to get rid of this horrible government we have in Ottawa. Thank you so much.
Au nom des 50 000 membres.
On behalf of the 50,000 members of the postal workers, I congratulate the members and officers of CEP and CAW on creating this new union. This is the result of a great deal of work, of a lot of work and discussions over many months. I want to emphasize especially the democratic process that was followed to give birth to this new organization. I attended the last CEP convention and witnessed the debates within the locals, among the members, in that convention. So broad debate, a new structure which was born out of very widespread debate. And I believe that the essence of this new union, of this change, is that the structure results from membership level debates. And so, you are the largest private sector union. You should be proud of having created that. And obviously, I'm convinced that this will have an impact on the labor movement as a whole, on the struggles to come. CUPW and the two merging unions have always cooperated very well. We share the same directions. and we will continue to work together in solidarity within the labor movement, in solidarity. So again, congratulations. The fight continues. Solidarity.
Hello, I'm Trish Hennessy, bringing you greetings and congratulations from all of us at the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives. You know, when I think about the power of the labor movement, I'm reminded of a conversation I had with a school janitor a while back after I was giving a talk about worsening income inequality in Canada. And he said that he was really concerned about the next generation of Canadians and whether they would do better or the same even as this generation of Canadians. He talked about his son who still lives at home because he has trouble finding work that pays enough for him to be able to find a place to rent. And he says, his son says, "Dad, all I want is what you have, that job security, that middle class life." And he says, "Trish, it's all I want for my son." And I thought that that was a very poignant expression of the power of the labor movement, that unions are really a great equalizer in our society. You are part of a new union now. You're bigger, you're stronger, you're united under the name of Unifor. You're wearing a Unifor logo now. And the thing that's special about your new Unifor logo is that it represents that strength and unity that is so important for the labor movement. And it's the thing that you wear on your hard hat, on your work vest. The Unifor logo is what you carry in your wallet. It's the card that you earned, the card that you carry with pride. Congratulations.
Dear sisters and brothers, on behalf of the United Federation of Workers in Denmark, 3F, we congratulate you on this wonderful accomplishment, forming a new union, Unifor. My name is Per Christensen, and I am the Federation Secretary in 3F. 3F is the largest trade union in Denmark with almost 350,000 members. People may ask what the workforce can do to create a better future. The answer is simple. It can organize, unify and consolidate. The workers who stand united will never ever be defeated. That is why the most important word for workers in all language is solidarity. In the name of solidarity, two great unions have created even a bigger and greater union, Unifor. Getting together is a beginning. Staying together is progress. Working together is the key to success. On this very special and historical day, your sisters and brothers from United Federation of Workers in Denmark and myself wish you a very successful convention and many successful years to come. Congratulations, Unifor.
Hello, I'm Ron Oswald, the General Secretary of the Food, Agricultural and Hospitality Workers International Union, speaking to you from our international headquarters here in Geneva, Switzerland. On behalf of our 10 million members from 370 unions in 127 countries around the world, it's a great privilege and a pleasure to address your convention, this important merger convention which brings together two great unions, the CAW and the CEP, to create Unifor, a force, a union that is good not just for Canadian workers, but for workers beyond the Canadian borders. This convention takes place at a time when the labour movement everywhere faces a general assault on rights, the right to work, the right to a decent, stable, permanent job, the right to a safe workplace, the right of workers to join unions, the right to basic services like health and education, and for 1 in 7 of the world's population, the right to food, nutrition, and life itself. Today, everywhere, we are more than at any time in my lifetime in a fight for our livelihoods and in many ways for our lives and the lives of our families and our communities. I know your new union will play an even greater role in that fight. The CAW has consistently supported our global fight as an IUF affiliate. In particular, I would pay credit to you
for the support to the world sugar workers that you've given over many years. There is no doubt they are better organized, stronger, and in many cases as a result, they and their families much better off because of the AUF sugar work, something we would not have been able to do anywhere like as effectively without your great support. For that, and on behalf of our members everywhere, I thank you. The AUF's mantra is organize, fight, and win. Like you, our members know that if we organize, we cannot guarantee we'll win. They know that if we fight, we cannot guarantee that we will win. But to state the obvious, they know for sure that if we neither organize nor fight, we are guaranteed to lose. And that is not in the AUF's DNA. And given the two unions that have built Unifor, I know it cannot be in the DNA of your great new union. Have a great convention, and I look forward to fighting shoulder to shoulder with you in the struggle that lies ahead of all of us. Long live Unifor, long live Workers' International Unity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken Newman, Peggy Nash, Hassan Youssef, Danny Lemelin, Trish Hennessy, Per Christensen, and Ron Oswald. We have a couple of public service announcements. Seems some of the delegates are losing a few things. We have a pendant and a Samsung personal mobile device, which can be collected in room 803, the convention office. We have a pair of sunglasses and a pair of prescription glasses, which can be collected at the registration table. And for those delegates who had alterations made to their membership cards this morning because of misspellings or font problems or whatever the case might be, the new cards are also now available at the registration area. And I have a card here belonging to Brother Keith Higginbotham, so if he wants to pick that up, that's up here at the front. I'd like to now at this point in time introduce the delegates to the National Director of Labor Programs and Services for United Way, Centre Ad, Sharon Lupton. Sharon, please.
Thank you, Peter. And thank you so much for this opportunity to be part of this historic event. I'm here today to bring greetings and congratulations on behalf of United Way Centraide movement and the Labour Programs and Services program, which exists because of the partnership between the Canadian Labour Congress and the United Way Canada Centraide. Both the CAW and the CEP unions have a long and proud history of working in partnership with United Ways across the country to improve lives for all Canadians. I would like to share with you these letters of recognition from Dr. Jacqueline Abry-Nyman, CEO and President of United Way Centraide Canada, to give recognition to the great leadership and commitment that Presidents Dave Cole and Ken Lowenza have shown throughout their lives. Dear Dave and Ken, on behalf of United Way Centraide Canada, I am honored to personally thank you for your commitment, your passion, and your support to your community and to United Way. Dave, your long history of labor and community activism started in the pulp mills in British Columbia. In a leadership role, you have strongly advocated to your members to support their community. Your commitment to social activism is evident through your work to help found such progressive groups as the Council of Canadians, the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives, and the Parkland Institute. Thank you. Ken, throughout your career, you have devoted your time and energy to improving the lives of working people and have dedicated countless hours as a volunteer and as an ambassador for United Way. In your home community of Windsor, Essex, and despite the opinion of Mark Delahunty, is a beautiful, wonderful community. You served United Way as United Way campaign chair on several occasions and have strongly advocated for community support and lead by example. No matter how busy and hectic your schedule was, you always found the time to give of yourself to those in need. In 2002, selflessly refusing to be individually recognized, you accepted the Charles E. Brooks Award on behalf of CAW Local 444, an award which recognized your incredible devotion to Windsor and Essex. Dave and Ken, your inspirational leadership brings energy, compassion, determination to the job of making gains for working people, their families, and the communities where they live. You have made it a priority and an expectation for your members to be involved in their communities, from grassroots to governance, and they have been the benefactor of this passionate devotion. All Canadians have been a benefactor. We at United Way have been privileged to work in partnership with you, the CAW and CEP unions, to create opportunities for a better life for everyone in our community. Once again, thank you for all that you have done and continue to do to improve the lives of everyone in our great country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. You're too kind. Obviously, I would encourage the delegates and local unions to continue to support their community through the United Way. I believe in it, we believe in it, and we have helped the lives of so many people that need the support of the United Way. And I don't want to take the mic anymore, but I do want to acknowledge the National Executive Board, the leadership. What a wonderful evening we had last night. As I walked around the Sheraton and the camaraderie and friendship, people were talking union, but they were doing it in a way of friendship and that bond of solidarity that's important. So last night was a wonderful night to enjoy the fruits of our labor and enjoy the activities of this union moving forward. So to Peter and Gaetan and the organizers of last night, wonderful. And just as a reminder, Unifor has a concert tonight at the Nathan Phillips Square. We got our Unifor signs all over, so what we need is the same enthusiasm and the same rocking as that particular time. So at the end of the day, be there tonight. That's important to show the community. And last but not least, Jerry, I know you give me one more second. Artis Snow and Cammie Pierce. Artis, did you want a point of privilege? Where's Artis? Artis from 1285. Did you want a point of privilege? You asked me out in the hall for one. Where are you? Okay, we'll do it at the next council meeting.
This side, lad.
Just hang on.
Mike 4.
He better propose, that son of a bitch. He better propose, man. Thank you. Thank you.
Very, very nice. Well, thank you very much to the United Way, but isn't it a shame that workers around this country have to give to the United Way because the fricking Conservative government shirks its responsibility to take care of the citizens of Canada. Thank you to the United Way and to everyone that donates in their communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon, and thank you, Ken and David, for all you do, not only on behalf of workers, but on behalf of your communities, our communities. I am pleased to announce that because of the generosity of the delegates to this collection, we have collected $16,331 for the locked out members of Local 184. I may be the Secretary-Treasurer, but as Secretary-Treasurers, Gaetan and I rely on the mathematical and financial skills of others, and I am told that The tradition, the practice in CEP is to match the donation, or to match the collection with the donation. But again, to simplify the math that is involved in this, the arithmetic, with your indulgence, your support, I would suggest that with the donations, with the collection and the donation, we just cut a check for $35,000 for the members of Local 184. Solidarity, 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 solidarity. Okay, before I turn the chair back to President Dias, one other last item. A very nice bracelet, and if it is not claimed, Sister Lana Payne and I are in a debate as to who's going to wear it home. So it's up here for collection. Brother Dias.
Microphone.
Brother Dias will deal with the points.
The sister at mic 1.
Thank you. Andrea McBride, Local 2000. I just wanted to, first of all, let everyone know that the final 50-50 draw has been claimed. And on behalf of the Western Region Area Councils from British Columbia, from Saskatchewan, and in particular from Alberta, where they did a ton of work selling the tickets, we've raised over $13,000 this weekend for Spina Bifida. Thank you so very much.
Mike 4.
Thank you very much. Sisters and brothers, Rick Smith from the Broadbent Institute. I just wanted to bring greetings from our chair and founder, Ed Broadbent, who some of you might have seen here yesterday. Yep. Ed was very pleased to be here for the day, and we're very pleased to be here at the founding convention of Unifor, a critical moment not just for the members of this union, but for Canadians in general. I'd like to invite you to come on out and chat with us at our booth outside, and we look forward to working with you in solidarity over the next years and decades on behalf of all of Canadians. Merci beaucoup et bonne convention.
Thank you very much and have a great convention.
Are there any more points? Okay, if you take a look at the agenda, it says that we're supposed to get into the organizing policy paper. But with your indulgence, I'd like just to veer off the schedule for a moment because we have a very special guest. A very special guest, a person who has been an elected politician. Her political career began almost 30 years ago. She won her first election in 1985 and served on the Toronto Board of Education for 6 years. In 1991, Olivia was the first Asian woman elected as a Metro Toronto councillor. She was re-elected 5 times, serving with distinction for 14 years before winning election to Parliament in 2006. First elected to Parliament as an MP for the riding of Trinity-Spadina. She has won her re-election twice. I can't continue without talking about the 23 years that her and Jack helped shape the country. Jack left us in 2007, and our country grieved with Olivia. I never witnessed so much dignity, class, honor, heart, loyalty, passion, compassion than I saw in Olivia. She is an incredible leader, a strong voice for working people, and I talked about it yesterday. A world-class city needs a world-class mayor. Olivia Chow, please address the delegation. Sorry, Olivia, I'm not letting you off the hook for any stretch of the
Congratulations.
Unifor delegates, brothers and sisters, and President Jerry Dias, bonjour, mes amis.
Good day, my friends.
As the NDP Member of Parliament representing this wonderful riding of downtown Toronto, and congratulations on this historic convention, the founding of Unifor. What an exciting moment this is. We know that together we are stronger. Together we will create a country that is better for working families, better for the new immigrants that come to our shore, and better for our children. I know firsthand the power of organized labor. I came to Canada as a teenager in 1970. My mother, who was a teacher, became a maid in a downtown hotel, and then worked in the laundry department in the same hotel for many, many years. Life was hard, but thank God she had the union to back her up when she tackled the racism she experienced in the workplace, and thank God for organized labor backing her up. Her challenging experiences as an immigrant are all too common. We see the failed policy of successive government that brings in tens of thousands of temporary foreign workers. We know our country is built by immigrants. We are strong and free because of our diversity. But immigrants are nation builders, not just a source of cheap labor to be exploited, just to be used and then tossed out of this country. Foreign workers should not be afraid to demand safety and rights in their workplace. They should not be afraid to get a decent wage for their hard work. They should not be afraid to join a union. And if they are good enough to work here, they are good enough to stay here permanently as nation builder. Their kids are welcome to join our kids in our schools. So together we can build a strong economy, a strong community, and strong neighborhoods. As a New Democrat, I've been elected in this downtown riding since 1985 that encompassed the universities, the financial districts, the young and the hip condo residents, and the well-to-do annexes, which the average house price is probably $1 to $2 million. But my constituents want a government that is strong on the economy and the environment, because we know that the strength of the economy is very much dependent on a strong social network. And we must improve our quality of life. We must nurture our young and take care of our seniors. For this reason and many others, I'm proud to be here today. Proud that under Unifor's leadership we can build a stronger and more caring society, because I have full confidence that working together we will build a society for all. Now let's get the job done. Thank you very, very much.
On behalf of all the delegates here today, I would like to take the opportunity to thank you, Olivia, for your contributions to the city and to our country, and for standing up for Canadians who need a voice, and for being a role model for women everywhere. Thank you.
I just whispered in Olivia's ear that she got to know that I'm going to continue to drive her nuts until she decides and makes the final decision to run for mayor. Come on, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Come on, let her show her. Come on, let her know. Let her know that we care. Let her know. This is your support, Olivia. This is what we think of you. Thank you for your heart. Thank you for your compassion. Thank you for your leadership. Now you have to run. Okay. I'd like everybody to get right to the organizing policy discussion paper. It's the second of our policy papers. It's in the same document that we went through this morning. It's a crucial document for us. And we've recognized right from the beginning of the new union that organizing was going to be a crucial piece and a central focus of Unifor. So to make this commitment a reality, we will now consider this the first official organizing policy for Unifor. It's the second tab of the same booklet that we've been working through, the booklet entitled Visions for the Future. But before I call on John and Duncan, there's a couple things that we need to talk about as it relates to organizing, because the media has been relentless with the formation of our new union. Because we keep talking about the emphasis and the importance of organizing, and they say to me, they're saying that organizing will be a problem. And I'm saying, no, organizing is not going to be a problem. So I said, will organizing be a challenge? Yes, organizing will be a challenge. And it's going to be a challenge because of the uncertainty that working people feel. And I talked about young people yesterday, and I talked about the frustration of young people and the determination of young people. And I believe that is going to be an immediate target as it relates to who we are going to work with, will be young people, to give them hope and opportunity to let them know that we're going to speak on their behalf. Because it's not a question of people not wanting to belong to a union. It's a question of people feeling comfortable that we can offer them justice, but also that we can offer them a future. So the one thing that is absolutely important for us before we go out there and we organize others, we need to make sure that we're organized ourselves. We need to make sure that our members are proud of their union, because each and every one of our 300,000 members must be organizers. So it's our members, through their respect in our organization, provided by the leadership of you in this room, that will help us take the next step. Respectful workplaces, membership that respects their leadership, and 300,000 people that respect their union. That's how we're going to move forward. I'd like to welcome John, a man who was the Director of Organizing under the CEP, and Duncan, who held a variety of tasks under the CEP, including a lot of organizing duties. So John and Duncan, please come up to the podium.
Thank you, Brother Dias. Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. Bonjour, mes amis.
Good day, my friends.
It's a privilege to play a small part in this presentation of a very, very important paper. I was the organizing director, so I guess in a couple of days I'll find out what job I have, if any. Brother Dias.
It depends on how well you do today.
and my presentation will be supplemented by Duncan Brown, and then subsequently Roxanne Dubois will speak a little bit about the community chapters later on. We all know why we're, and I guess I'll let the IT folks know when we need the presentation up there. We all know why we're in the union, and it's clearly summed up in the first sentence of the policy document in front of you, where it clearly states, workers need unions to help equalize the inherent imbalance in bargaining power between workers and employers that exist in any workplace and in society as a whole. The union is our collective voice and our source of power. We can't win anything, not from the boss, not from government, if we just walk up there one by one asking politely. I mean, many of us have tried that, and many of us, that's why some of us in this room have organized our workplaces. There's a famous quote and again, it's ironically from, again, we've talked a lot about Martin Luther King and the 50-year anniversary. A. Philip Randolph came before Martin Luther King. He was a famous civil rights activist and organizer of the Pullman Porters when black workers had to organize specifically in their own union and couldn't join unions with their white brothers and sisters. And he actually organized the March to Washington in 1963, 50 years ago this week, which is also like Gaetan. It's a great year, Gaetan. It's 1963. Happens to be the year I was born too, where he symbolically passed the leadership of the civil rights movement to Martin Luther King. And he said, "At the banquet table of nature, there are no reserved seats. You get what you can take, and you keep what you can hold. If you can't take anything, you won't get anything. And if you can't hold anything, you won't keep anything." And more importantly, he said, and you can't take anything without organization. And of course, he was referring to the social progressive movements and organizations and like Unifor and now is. So my friends, we take a win by going arm in arm and speaking with one voice and leveling the playing field. So if I can have the slide, please. Oh, here we go. So from the beginning of the new union project emphasized, mandated, and reflected the importance of organizing. And both the Moment of Truth discussion paper, the proposal committee final report, and of course in the policy paper in front of you. And mainly that's because the first time that Brother Luenza and Brother Coles started talking about building a new union, organizing was front and center and had to be a key and vital priority for our union. The challenges the unions and our members face are intense. In spite of our successes, and we've had many, we have to step up our game and we have to get better at reaching out to workers, inspiring them and helping them to get organized to fight for their rights. So there was a lot of discussion about organizing in the initial paper that started the whole union project, and in the final report of the proposal committee to meet that objective of creating an organizing union. In addition, our Constitution specifies many measures to ensure a culture of organizing. Importantly, an allocation, a commitment of 10% of our dues to our organizing efforts. I think the brother misspoke when he said the organizing budget was $150 million. I think he was referring to the strike fund earlier. So yeah, so do I. And our organizing policy is a framework for us how we're going to realize that vision. And the paper before you shows you how we plan on doing that. In respect to the organizing culture, this is arguably the most important aspect of the whole policy. Like Jerry just spoke about, from top to bottom, organizing must be a key priority for everyone in Unifor, all 300,000 members. From our national president to our rank and file activists, organizing must be a priority for everybody in the union. It's not just a job given to organizers. We must all be organizers. And our Constitution reflects this in various ways. For example, every elected officer has to pledge to make organizing a priority. This is going to make me very popular. Every Unifor staff member, regardless of the work they do, will also have to make organizing a priority and part of their day-to-day responsibility. And then there's other aspects that are integrated into our Constitution. The councils are going to play a key role in our organizing efforts, supporting us, both from the regional councils and the industry councils. We're going to be conducting an annual organizing conference, again, to reiterate the importance of organizing, to build a greater awareness, and to create a culture of organizing. Organizing is going to be integrated in all of our education programs and in every aspect of what we do. And we're going to have regular report backs. I know Jerry was kidding, but he wasn't. We need to assess our work and make sure that the money that we've been entrusted with is well spent in support of our organizing activities. And all of this, of course, we understand that the key organizing model is one that stresses with workers organizing workers with a leading role for strong inside committee members. And we will have to depend on all of you. We need to depend on our strong local unions and having strong local unions that are visible, effective in their communities. For most non-union workers, that's how they first encounter the union in their communities. not through Jerry Dias or Ken Lowenza or other leadership on the stage, but through the rank and file leadership in the communities that do such a great job on a whole host of issues. They are the face of our union. Our local leadership, activists, rank and file members are the ambassadors and how the vast majority of Canadians connect with us. Without strong locals and their support, there is no way we're going to turn around the decline in density. We need our locals to play a leading role in our campaigns. There's a number of different programs that are contemplated and that are in the policy paper. A 50-50 program where the national union is going to cost share with locals, again, to help them bring organizing staff on board. Cooperation with other locals in your community on not only on a cost-sharing program but on various campaigns, and ensuring that each executive has an organizing liaison that can liaise with the national union to keep in tune with the activities and, again, to build a greater awareness of organizing within their communities. Locals need and they should put their organizing front and center in all of their activities. And to coordinate all of this, we're going to have a national organizing department with a soon-to-be-announced organizing director. We're going to have specialist organizers and other staff who will coordinate key campaigns, and again, supported by the local union organizers, member organizers. There's two new terms for CAW folks, locals and activists and our volunteers. We're going to have a very strong presence in Quebec, recognizing the unique structure, the language issues, and the laws in Quebec. State-of-the-art national database and research infrastructure to support the organizers on the ground. But in saying all that, and again, this is the key theme, I think, in what Jerry had alluded to earlier, and what the policy speaks about. We can't do this by ourselves. We can't do it. And I know many of you have many responsibilities, and the work you do in support of your family, your union, and your workplace are immeasurable. I'm asking you to do more is not always easy, but I would argue if we're able to significantly increase our membership and density, then you won't have to do as much as some of you might be doing today. A small group, no matter how committed, cannot handle the challenges we face, and I know that Unifor can count on you for your support in reaching and helping us reach our dreams and goals. And with that, I will turn it over to my brother, my new friend, Duncan Brown. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. I'm Duncan Brown from the former CEP, now proud member of Unifor. The organizing department is something that is, for the people from the CEP, it will be something that is new. We're going to have a strong department that will coordinate our efforts from coast to coast and provide the resources and backup to our organizers. And this is also important for all of us as we take on bigger and bigger corporations with the power to move capital and multi-site operations. We're going to need that coordination at the national level to bring it all together. One of the most important parts of the document is its approach to organizing is going to be strategic. We're going to be proactive and deliberate and strategic. And what do we mean by that? Well, we mean two things. First of all, we're going to be strategic in the way we approach our targets, how we're going to determine who our targets are going to be. We're going to organize anybody who comes to us that wants to be organized, but when we think about who we go out and deliberately approach, it's going to be about building power, and we'll be doing that in consultation with our sectors and with our regions. We're also going to take an approach to our organizing strategies that will be strategic. It'll be linked with our industry sector councils. We want to engage you, our activists, to lead the members, to organize them, to bargain neutrality with employers. If we have a relationship with an employer in one place, they have to respect the right of workers in other workplaces in the same corporation to organize. That's the international standard. That's the law, and it's up to us to make the corporations respect that. Our campaigns are going to be strategic in the sense that we're going to have to build the capacity and the power to take these corporations on. When they terrorize workers who want to sign a union card and improve their situation at work and improve the living standards of their families, and when they threaten them with the loss of their job, We have to be prepared to take on that corporation and fight them tooth and nail for the right to organize. The governments aren't going to do it, and we're sure going to try to make them respect that, but we have to also realize that the real culprits here are the corporations, and we have to build the power to put pressure on them so that we can defend those workers. This is going to require us to build this capacity and the capacity to build and mobilize our workers, and we'll be developing rapid response teams to mobilize all of our members from coast to coast. Another part of the strategy in the document is reporting and evaluation and innovating and adjusting. These are not just words. We can't just keep doing the same thing. We have to look at what we're doing. We just can't spend money. We have $10 million a year. But just because our Constitution provides that doesn't mean we have to spend it. We have to spend these resources wisely. And we have to spend them in a way that we're going to win, and we have to report back regularly to our councils in the regions and in the sectors, and we have to make the changes as we go along. As Brother John said, we're going to be having an annual organizing conference where we can make changes and adjustments to our strategies and our targets and our tactics to make sure that we're innovative and that we're doing the right thing. I forgot to push the button, sorry. I got too excited. So here we go. Here's something new and exciting. This is the new Unifor membership card. And we need tens of thousands of workers to sign these cards. This card will be an expression of their frustration with their employers. This will be an expression of the hope, and it'll be an expression of their determination to build a better quality of life for themselves, to improve their workplace, to improve their families, and to improve their communities. And brothers and sisters, we have to be there standing side by side with them to do this. This document is a really good document. It had a lot of work put into it. It's an excellent document, but they're just words on paper until we breathe life into it, and that's now our job. We have to do it, and it's not just the people up here, and it's not just our great team of organizers around the country. As Brother Rowley said this morning, it's each and every one of us in this room that have to do it, and we have to go back to our locals and get our brothers and sisters there to commit to this, and then we can put this into action, and we can build a mighty army of union organizers, and we can change this country. So let's roll up our sleeves, brothers and sisters, and let's get to it. Thank you very much.
All right, brothers and sisters, on the organizing policy paper, discussion paper. Once again, we'll have everyone at the mics. First of all, do we have a mover and a seconder for the discussion paper? Seconder. It's been moved and seconded. Name, local, and remember, 5 minutes per speaker. Sister at mic 1.
Thank you. Katha Forche, Unifor, Local 229, and Director, Ontario Region. Sisters and brothers, I rise in favor of this progressive paper on organizing and our bold plan to rebuild the working and middle class in Canada. Today, young Canadians are figuring something out. The conservative mantra, the trickle-down theory, is simply bullshit. The promise that an education will guarantee a good job is nothing but a lie. And our children, our grandchildren, will very likely work in precarious jobs through their entire life unless we decide to change that. We need to give them that power. This weekend, they are listening to what we say. Tomorrow and going forward, they will watch what we do. Let's show them just what Unifor really means. Thank you.
Before I turn the mic over to, or turn the floor over to mic 2, I would like to introduce to the delegation Brother Bromley Armstrong, an incredible activist, an incredible leader, an incredible civil rights leader, more importantly, our brother, Bromley Armstrong. Brother. It's on. It's good. Yep, Ray got it.
Okay, first of all, let me congratulate Brother Dare for your elevation to president of this great new union, Unifor.
Thank you, brother.
And also to congratulate the members who have been elected or selected for the executive and the various people in positions across the union, the regions. First of all, let me say, my name is Bromley Armstrong, as you are told. I'm retired, and I am very, very honored and proud to be one of the founding members of Unifor. It takes me back many years to my first Canadian convention. I arrived from Jamaica in 1947, got started being active in 1948 in the UAW, and my first convention was in Montreal in 1952. And at that time, and for many years, I was the only visible minority at Canadian conventions. I see that we have made a great effort on the question of getting the sisters involved, because I can see across, when I started, the only thing we used to have this female doing was do the recording and register the people for coming into the convention, but you never see them on the floor or get them involved. And I see that we have made a great effort in equalizing the unions by having the sisters participating fully. I endorse the paper as far as organizing is concerned, but I'd like to say this to the organizers, to the presidents, and to the executive. I have seen many changes in the labor movement in my 66 years in Canada. I'd like to see more changes. We all can recognize that we are in a changing Canada. The reflection of Canada has changed. We have talk about diversity. We want to see the unions looking the same as the diversity in the country. We want to see more people of color at the conventions. We want to see more people of color in the leadership role right across the country, from the national level to the regional levels. And these are some of the things I'm asking and urging that we look at. We need to reach out to people who are coming as immigrants into our country. And I know a lot of people worry about this because they figure that they're coming in to take jobs. When I came in, I started in 1948. I started in a factory at Massey Harris at 62 cents per hour. Yep. And I know what the union can do. I give credit to the union for all the things I've done in my 66 years in Canada, for my activism, for my efforts in the whole question of social justice and human rights. I've given my life to this, and I know that there are people out there that you can recruit as when you organize to bring them in and have them to become part and parcel of this great union, Unifor. You can do it. I congratulate you, and I say to you, in unity, I wish you luck and solidarity. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother Bromley, you have no idea how proud we are that you are a founding member of Unifor. We are a better Canada because of you, brother. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sister at microphone 5.
Hello, Hello, sisters and brothers. My name is Kelly Scanlon, proud member of Unifor Local 414, representing 12,000 mostly retail workers in the province of Ontario. I rise in support of this important organizing paper, and I give credit to the staff and the leadership for pulling it together. I want to highlight a particular line in the paper that stuck out for me while I was reading it, and I think it sums up what we're trying to accomplish through this ambitious new union project. I'll paraphrase what's in the document. With its renewed investment in organizing, it says is that organizing isn't just about getting new members, that it's about building strength, power, and influence so that we can stand toe-to-toe against the neoliberal agenda. These are powerful words, and I know that with the people in this room and our new leadership team, that these words will define our actions, not just as part of a dusty policy paper sitting on a shelf. These words give me hope, and I'll tell you why. Because workers in the sector that I come from need hope. There are more retail workers than any other type of worker in this country. This is one of the fastest growing sectors of our economy, and retail contributes billions and billions of dollars to our GDP, and large retailers like Walmart, Target, Metro, and Loblaws are amongst the wealthiest corporations in the world. Yet retail workers are amongst the lowest paid, undervalued, and underappreciated in Canada. Only 14% of this sector is unionized, and it's a big reason why there's such low pay, few benefits, and it's constantly precarious. This sector is dominated by women. In our supermarkets, women make up 75% of our membership. Many of these workers are also newcomers to Canada, and many of them are young people. I'm sick and tired of watching retail workers tell their stories of struggle. I'm sick and tired of telling this story myself. Retail workers need unions. It's as simple as that. And you know what? Unions need retail workers.
Right on. Right on, sister. Right on.
If Unifor is truly going to be a union for everyone, one of our first priorities has to be raising not only work standards, but the expectations and dreams of retail workers. Retail workers in the U.S. are taking the fight to the streets. It's hit a boiling point. They don't have much direction, but they know that things have to change. Retail workers will fight back. The question is, will our union be leading or watching? I believe in my heart that we will be leading. Just recently, our union negotiated an incredible collective agreement for supermarket workers in Newfoundland. Major wage increases, benefit increases, improvement to work practices. This was won because our members were sick and tired and ready to fight. In Toronto, just recently, 7,500 of our retail workers fought and stopped big corporations from opening up shop 365 days a year. Our union fought and saved statutory holidays and time off the job for our members. Not just our members, but if you can believe this, 400,000 City of Toronto retail workers. I was encouraged to hear Jerry say that our union wishes for all workers what we wish for ourselves. And this campaign was a shining example of that sentiment. So I encourage the delegates to endorse this paper, to stand behind those important words. Don't let them sit on a shelf. And I encourage everyone in this room to commit to raising the bar for retail workers, commit to inspiring the largest group of unorganized workers in this country because they need our help. If big retailers in Canada and outside Canada think they're going to bring the race to the bottom to retail workers here in Canada, they're in for a real shock. Because Unifor is about lifting people up, raising expectations, and giving people hope. Please take this organizing vision back to your members and think about how we can make organizing not just an important task, but the air we breathe. Thank you.
I can assure you, sister, we'll be leading. Brother Coles at microphone 2.
That's the last time you bumped me in the line.
Oh, I bumped you. Listen, we always respect our retirees, and we always respect people that help build our great unions. You will always have the floor when you want to speak, brother.
Dave Coles, Unifor Local 445, Edmonton. 2 points I want to raise. One is to everyone in the room and listening, being an organizer is the most satisfying position you can take in the labor movement. It is not a position to some other place. It is the most profound, gratifying experience you can ever have to assist workers, to lift them out of the chains that bind them into a collective agreement. For 25 years, I was a full-time organizer, and I would encourage everyone in the room, never look at organizing and an organizer as some stepping stone, because it's not. It is the core of not just of our union, but of the movement. Just think if you cannot organize voters. Just think if you cannot organize resistance. It's all of the same cut. Being an organizer is a wonderful way to spend your life in the left, in the progressive movement, and in the labor movement. And I want to plant a seed, and I sound like a broken record and will drive the National Executive Board crazy. We need to make strategic decisions to help organize large chunks of workers in Canada that are primarily women, but work for corporations that are at the control of untold wealth. There are hundreds of thousands of workers in this country that work in the financial sector, and only a very small portion of them are organized. And we have to have strategic planning to look at all of those wage ghettos where women and new immigrants are forced to work for corporations that have wealth beyond anyone's imagination. So let's ensure that when we pass this policy, we're not just talking about those that are working for companies that we can easily organize. Let's talk about the real core structure of our society where workers have been excluded from the ability to be organized. Thank you very much.
With the permission of the House, I see that we have microphones lined up with men, with a woman at mic 4. And as long as you're comfortable with this, because this is the way I would much prefer to do things, I would much prefer as often as we can to make sure that we get the voices of brothers and sisters heard. So with the permission of the delegation, and frankly, since I'm chairing it, I'd recognize the sister at microphone number 4.
Good afternoon. Some of you may have met me at the last convention. You may know my last name is Blunt, and I'm fairly direct. I'm with Local 103. Okay. I've gone through 3 unions. Started out with TCU 27 years ago, then, well, actually 4 now, CAW, ONEIU, now we're here with Unifor. I want to talk to you today about 27 years ago when I signed my first card. I am the only member of my family to be a union member. This weekend was brought to you by your unions. Your paid holidays were brought to you by your unions. If you wear a safety vest, if you wear safety protection, if you have safety rules and regulations now, a health care system, guess why? Every member in this room and in a union, pat yourself on the back. That's what you got for people. That's the message you have to tell them. Today at lunch, I sat in a restaurant. I watched this poor girl run back and forth. I told her, slow down. You're doing a good job. Just breathe. In an hour and a half, the rush will be over. You'll be okay. Then I said to her, I want to tell you something. 27 years ago, I had something that changed my life. I signed my first union card. My boss said to me, you're going to earn $325. I thought I died and went to heaven. See, before that, I sold vacuum cleaners. I worked at a Mike's Milk. I worked at a Grandma Lee's, baking at night, working the front counter, whatever I could do to pay my rent. $325 in 1986 per week was amazing. Then I got told I'd have benefits. What the heck were benefits? I grew up in a family of 6 kids. You took $20 to the dentist to help pay off the bill. Benefits? I didn't know what they were. But I thought, man, I'm going to make sure after 90 days I'm still here. And then they said to me, you can start paying into a pension. What the heck's the pension? Other than Canada Pension, I had no idea. Now, 27 years later, I'm standing here, a new, proud Unifor member. And it's that easy, folks. You don't have to go yelling and screaming. Tell them what your union got for you. Tell them what the best day was. When I looked at that girl when I left and I said, if there's one thing you can do for yourself, when someone presents you with the opportunity to sign a union card, sign it. It will be the best day of your life. It will be a changing moment. You will not believe what a difference it will make for you and your family. And they said, and after you sign it, turn to your friend, tell them, sign a union card. She looked at me, she goes, you know what? That's a good idea. So I'm hoping, now she works at Eastside Mario, she's a bartender, and I'm hoping that we can bring on members like that. So tell them your story. Take 2 minutes at a lunch counter, tell them. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Mike 3.
Brent Reed, Unifor Local 433 in Burnaby. It's the first time we've used that name, so I'm pretty excited about this. I stand here in favor of this policy. I really like the work that's gone into this document, but I want to talk about a little story that's gone on in the last couple of weeks. We organized a group of workers under the CEP banner at that time, but we never got to an agreement. But I want to report today that yesterday we counted the ballots on the first collective agreement, and the Left Hand Media Co-op is organized in BC under Unifor Local 433. Now, it's because of this new idea of organizing that we reached out outside. This group is a group of workers that has no workplace. They're a virtual environment. They work on online strategic and social media type work. And even the labor board was a really difficult place to try and get a certification. We had to work, and we worked with our legal firm, and we were finally able to get this group. And I want this room, or whatever, to recognize Left Hand Media Corp. And I'm proud to stand here to say that we can reach outside the box. We can organize groups of workers that are not traditional, with different hours of work, and it can be done. Thank you.
Okay. Mike 2. I realize I did Mike 2, but we bumped Gavin for our distinguished speaker earlier on.
Thanks, Jerry. Gavin McGarrigle, staff, British Columbia, and a proud member of Unifor Local 114. I was a young worker once and came into the union when I was 25. I was a server at a restaurant in Victoria, British Columbia called the Cheesecake Cafe. Sounds like a funny name, but it wasn't so funny to work there. About 140 members worked there, mostly women, mostly workers of color. And the boss was ignoring all of the labor laws, making them pay $86 for their uniform. If somebody dined and dashed, they'd make them pay for the bill. The stairs didn't have proper traction on them, and people would slip, and the boss didn't care. People would spill hot oil all over themselves, and the boss didn't care. There was one staff washroom for 140 people, and the boss didn't care. And finally, we reached out, and we said, you know what, we've got to take this on ourselves. If we can't even have the basic laws respected, we need a union. And within a couple of weeks, we signed them up under the card check system. And we signed up about 65–70% of the workers in no time. And the day that the application went in, the boss found out about it, and he called a captive audience meeting and threatened the hell out of all of us. And I can assure you, minimum wage workers, if we had to wait 2 or 3 weeks for a vote, we wouldn't be here. We would have been too scared. But instead, we organized, we got certified, we went to the bargaining table, they fired one of the cooks on the first day of bargaining, and then we took them on. No benefits, no pension, no money. 6.5 weeks on the picket line for our first collective agreement, and we were able to join our union, our local, and get a collective agreement. But, the sister talked about Eastside Mario's. And there are many hotel workers in this city that are in a union. But there are tens of thousands of workers. When all of us go out to dinner tonight, or go for our coffees, or stay in small towns where there's hotels, those workers do not have a union. And are they any different? Are the safety concerns any different? Are the minimum wage concerns any different? No, they're not. And why the hell should you have to have 50% plus one? Why shouldn't you just be able to sign a card? If Stephen Harper can get elected and run the bloody country with 34%, why can't workers join a union? Why can't they just sign a card? Why can't they have justice and fairness and dignity? And that's what we're doing with this new union. And to all the delegates here, and to all the members and the people across the country, it is absolutely critical to recognize that every single one of us is an organizer. Since that time, I've had the privilege of going on staff, and many people in locals, quite frankly, have said to me, where's the organizing department? You know, what are they going to do? How many contacts do you have? How many people do you know in all the communities? We need to leave this convention, and we need to get out there and organize with the organizing department, but let's get it going. Let's show people that unions are a voice for fairness and dignity and justice. And I don't ever want to hear anyone ever again say it's somebody else's job to organize. We need to get out to all those sectors, and we need to fight to make sure that whether it's hotel workers, whether it's restaurant workers, whether it's precarious jobs, different industries, freelance workers, whatever it is, every single worker in Canada deserves to be a member of the union, and Unifor, this union, that's the promise. Let's move forward and not just have this words on paper. Let's make it a reality so that we can look at our kids, many of whom are going off to university or college or starting their first job following Labor Day weekend, and we can say, Unifor is there for you, Unifor cares for you, and whether we can get you a collective agreement through the traditional way or fight through community chapters, we've got your back, and we are going to deliver for you, and we're going to make Canada a better place. Thank you very much, and let's keep up the struggle.
Now, just as a point, we are well over an hour behind the agenda, and I'm quite comfortable with that, by the way. So let me suggest to all of us in the room that if the worker, if we can now reduce our remarks from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, that would help speed things along. And then, of course, when the floor has heard enough of the debate, a question would be in order. So let me recognize the brother at Mic 4.
Thank you, Brother Chair. Tim Carey, National Staff Education Department, and also had the pleasure to serve as co-chair of the organizing working group. And I stand here so proud to see the document that's brought forward here to our members. And of course, je vous dis bonjour to tous mes.
And of course, I'd like to say a good day to all my brothers and sisters here today.
I want to touch on two aspects of the document. The aspect dealing with strong local unions, and the other, of course, around the education part. Sisters and brothers, we need to take a look in our communities. We need to look real hard, and at times we may have to make some tough decisions on how we ensure that we have strong local unions in our communities. How do we make sure that if we're going to organize workers in our communities, that they have a strong local union that can service them, provide for their needs after the organizing is done and the work of representation needs to begin. And we need to have a strong local union that has a voice in the community that workers will be proud of, and that workers who are non-union will look at that strong local union and say, you know what, they do good things in our community and they can do good things in the workplace that I'm at, and strong local unions is such a key part to being successful. The second part, obviously, is on the education aspect. And I want to say this just to the sisters and brothers from CEP. How would you like to own a piece of property on the shores of Lake Huron that is like a resort, that a worker goes and meets other workers from all across the country, and we bond in solidarity and we look at the kind of world that we would like to have? Well, sisters and brothers, you're all owners of that property now, because you own Port Elgin, the center, just like all of us. So welcome. And I am so pleased to see in the document that we're talking about the aspect of all of our education programs, whether it's around collective bargaining or grievance handling, women's activism, activism courses. All the courses are paid education leave courses that always will be talking about the fact that we're all organizers. Every one of us. And we always have to think like organizers. We always have to look at the opportunities, as our sister pointed out, when we're sitting in a place where there's non-union workers, and talk to them about the union. So we need to make sure that that happens in our education. We need to make sure that when we have the workers in Port Elgin or in our training in our communities, that we build up the pride and the love of our union through that education and make them be so proud to go back and be organizers. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tim. Sister at Mike 3.
Ida Cramendine, local Unifor Local 2002. I'd like to say that I am honored and grateful to be part of this founding convention. I also like to say to Jerry, Brother Jerry, I love you. I sat here for 2 hours yesterday listening to you, so I'm glad that you gave me my 3 minutes.
That was an hour and 15 minutes, sister, but who's counting?
It felt like 2 hours. I stand in full support of this paper. I'd like to say that I hear that Toronto believes that it's the center of the universe. I also hear that Alberta feels that it's the center of a gold mine, or should I say, oil sands. Alberta also believes that they support the rest of the country. Yet, with the most recent increase, Alberta is the only province with the minimum wage under $10. This is after, like I said, the most recent increase. We need to organize, we need to educate. We need to tell our stories of the hard-earned achievements. For me, it is obvious that for the average class citizen in Alberta, the only way to get a decent wage is to be part of a union. Thank you.
Microphone 5. And then we'll go to 1.
Merci, confrère.
Thank you, brother. I'll be speaking French. If you'd like to put your headsets on. Good day. My name is Jean-Yves Filion I am president of Local 510, Unifor, on the South Shore of Montreal. We're talking about organizing. I think everyone in the room would agree that organizing is a very good thing. It's a wish that everyone has. We know that in society people need a union. So I don't want to make those points. I think everybody agrees with them. However, I think that if we take people and put them in an office somewhere and tell them they will take care of organizing, we're going to fail. There are many ways to organize. And one of the ways, one of the methods is the program that we had developed, the 50-50 program. We have someone in our local that's released 2 days a week, one of our members that we selected, and the expenses are shared between the local and the national office, 50-50. The positive thing of that program is that Brother Michel Bélanger at Local 510, and the positive thing is that person is in our workplace, in our local, focusing on organizing. But the positive impact was that not only it brought in members, it bore fruit, but it also created an organizing culture in the local. Imagine, among us, we have someone who's always thinking organizing. We're having lunch. I'm talking about my sister and her baby, her newborn, and he says, "Is your sister unionized? Do you know someone who knows a union?" So just that culture, that mindset, slowly but surely was developed within our union structure and within the entire membership, slowly but surely. So if we want our family to grow one day, if we want to improve society, we have to develop that mindset everywhere, and we have to convey it to all the members of Unifor. Imagine if tomorrow morning we had 300,000 people in Canada who wanted to start organizing and who have that in their head, that mindset and the reflex to think, okay, let's go and get those people, let's organize them. Imagine how strong we would be. That's the strength of that program. It develops that mindset in us, and it teaches us to have the reflex of organizing people around us. So in my area, we had to stop the program because of the merger and everything. So I'm calling on locals everywhere in the country to take part in that program. In Local 510, we're very anxious to start it up again. We're impatient to do so and to contribute to develop our huge family and wonderful family. Thank you.
I'm going to go to the brother at mic 1, then the sister at mic 1, the brother at mic 6, and the sister at mic 5.
Merci infiniment, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you very much, Brother Chair. I'm very happy that everyone is already wearing their headset. Great coincidence. I learned about organizing in the Quebec student movement. Many people referred to that movement recently, and I'll come back to it later. Before having the great honor, Jean-François Paradis, Local 232. Before being a unionized worker, I worked for a call center at Bell-Tillich for 3 years. Coming out of the student movement, having had organizing experiences before that, after 2 weeks of work in that call center, I was still months away from my test period or trial period, and I wanted to organize all of the workers there. I had read the organizing manual of CEP available on internet, but I never had the feeling while I was there that I could really get assistance to organize. So I think we really have to make an effort to publicize the fact that there is a will here at Unifor to bring in workers from non-unionized sectors, because they won't all come to us unless they already have an experience with, labor movements or social movements or student movements. And if we get at these workplaces, it will allow us to get new blood as well. One of the things I found very unfortunate yesterday when I looked at the result of the election is that I think there's only one member on the National Executive Board who's from my generation and who was right behind me a moment ago. So I found that unfortunate, but looking in the room, there are too many gray heads to really be a reflection of who we are and what we are. So let's focus on non-unionized areas where there are lots of young workers, such as call centers, and let's find people where they are. If I could make a suggestion before stopping, Mr. Chairperson, perhaps we need to create student sections, student locals at one point. That might be a good idea to have this new blood within Unifor. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, brother. Sister on mic 1.
Thank you, brother. I think you get extra credit because you're actually recognizing a sister and a half today.
You got that one right.
So, look, my name is Karen White. I'm a member of Unifor Local 410, and I'm one of the people that's referred to in this document. I work as a member organizer, so I get released from my local periodically to work on campaigns. I don't want to repeat everything that everyone has said. I do want to say that I think one of the most powerful things about Unifor is our capacity to organize. And coming out of the CEP, I'm really excited to know as a member organizer that we'll have a national organizing department that oversees that and makes it very strategic. On the idea of strategic organizing, we need to be strategic not just in the types of workplaces that we're organizing, so industries that we need, places that we need to bring into our union, but also in terms of diversifying our membership. So we need to make sure that we are using member organizers who are reflective of the types of workplaces that we want and the types of workplaces that we're trying to organize. That means using women, it means using people of color, it means using workers that are differently abled, and it means using young workers. And so without going into anything else, I want to tell you a little story. I saw a lot of these on Twitter today. These are our new Unifor cards. I've been a member of a union for 10 years, but when I got hired, I was hired in the scope of the bargaining unit. I never ever signed a union card, ever. And so at the CEP convention last fall, Brother Luenza gave a rousing speech talking about how incredible it was and how this was the most important card in his wallet, his union card. But sisters and brothers, we have a number of members of our own unions that have never signed a union card. And it's empowering. I've worked as an organizer. I've seen what it does when a member makes a decision to be part of a union. And we talk about all of our members need to become the organizers. Well, you know what? For a lot of our members, it's scary to have a conversation with a worker and to talk to them about joining a union and to ask them to put in writing that they want to be part of a union. But we now have a mechanism where we can demystify organizing for all of our members. So we need to put our stewards, our local activists, not all of our leadership, our grassroots activists to work signing up to Unifor all of the members of our local. That is a empowering thing to do, and we need to make sure that we're not just organizing new members, that we're organizing our own members. That's how we build an organizing culture. Thank you, brother.
Thank you, sister. The question is being called. Let's test the House because there's still a lot of speakers. All those in favor of ending debate on this discussion paper, please signify. Opposed? It's carried. On the discussion paper, on this very important discussion paper, all those in favor, please signify. Opposed, if any? Carried unanimously. Thank you, brothers and sisters. All right, delegates, we're making some good progress here, but we need to move on to our next policy paper. It's in the same booklet. It's in the third tab of Visions for the Future, and the paper is called Broadening Union Citizenship. As we're all aware, we've been talking about, as a part of the new union process, a whole issue about how do we form community chapters. How do we talk about bringing people into our organization to work with us, different groups, different organizations, group of workers that have lost their workplaces? How do we broaden our influence? How do we become more inclusive? So that's what this next policy paper, discussion paper, is all about. I'm very pleased to announce Roxanne Dubois. She's a staff person from the former CEP, has been doing great work to lay out the groundwork for our community chapters. Roxanne will introduce the policy paper. Roxanne, please come forward. Before I turn it over to Roxanne, I'd like to... the brother is at mic 2.
Jean-François Carignan, VP 184 Unifor. This is a question of privilege, Brother Chair. On behalf of the 145 members of my local in lockout for the past 17 weeks, I would like to thank all the delegates and the National Executive for their generosity and their support. Thanks through your support and solidarity in the coming months, we will be able to fight back against this savage employer, and we will go back to work, our heads held up and very proud. Thank you.
Your struggle is ours. We will be there for you. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm very excited to talk to you about the Community Chapters project. I'll be speaking in both languages, just so you know. And okay, the slides are there. Donc, c'est un projet qui est...
This is obviously a project that's been long awaited. We've discussed it at length, and today we'll review the policy very rapidly because I know that we're coming to the end of our session, and then we'll examine what we will do in order to implement this policy. It's important to note that it's a project that is entirely new. It's something that we need to build from the ground up, so keep that in mind.
Need to tell you how sort of the tough economic times that we're going through. We're facing high unemployment, increase in precarious jobs, decreasing union density, and when you add to that the ongoing attack on labor, then we've got quite the challenge on our hands, and all of you know that. As a labor movement, we're in a position to have to defend the current way that labor relations work in Canada, and it's a challenge. The model in which all members in a certified bargaining unit are members of the union is something that we defend as a union, but it's also something that has left many workers behind over the years. And this is the face of the challenges we're facing. Then this is why we need a new and dynamic way to respond and to engage with workers that are not members of the union. So, in broad terms, there are many goals to this project, but to give you an overview, obviously to continue our work supporting those who want to organize their workplaces, and obviously to increase overall membership. We want to give workers who are usually excluded from collective bargaining a chance to build their power. We want to redefine how the public understands union, how we work, what we do. And we want to show that we go to bat for all workers, not just those who are members of a union. So to do that, we're proposing that we create community chapters. The most basic definitions that I can give you is this. Community chapters are a way to bring groups of people to work through our union in order to organize their workplaces and to improve their conditions. That's it. Now we'll look into a few of the details. Donc, pour former une section...
In order to create a community chapter, there are many requirements that are essential and critical in order to create such a community chapter. The first of all is we need a group of people. So we need to use collective action. When we work together, we're stronger and we can develop our power collectively thus. And so we can make gains. So group of people, that's the first requirement. The members of this group must have a common situation or a common interest. So something that links them and that unites them. It could be their situation at work. It could be their working conditions. It could be the fact that they have no work. All of these can be considered common situations or a common interest. Then this group of people needs to have a critical mass. We need a certain number of people, sufficient number of people who are willing to set up a community chapter to show that there is a sustainable effort. Then the members of the community chapter will need to establish a plan of action, have objectives, deadlines, and strategies so as to allow them to reach these objectives, whether it be gains with the employer or a municipal, provincial, or federal government. You need to have objectives in order to reach these objectives. Finally, in certain cases, or in most cases, the community chapter will need to link up with an existing local union. This local union can then welcome and work with the community chapter to help them reach their objectives. In certain cases, we might have community chapters who will be recognized nationally, especially for those chapters where they have members in more than one province.
That are in this room, I'm sure local unions are starting to wonder, how are we going to be able to form a community chapter? What role can we play in bringing workers that are non-organized into the union? So there are a few things you want to keep in mind. It's on a voluntary basis. If you want to and can, then you can start the process to form a community chapter. You'll have to amend your bylaws to include the membership in the community chapter and decide within the bylaws if they sit on your local union executive. And then the way that you want to think about it is if there is a group of workers or a group of people in your community or in your sector that would be a natural extension of your membership. So it may be a group of people that you already work with that are not in your bargaining unit or that are not in the union but could be, or could eventually work towards that. That's the kind of way that if you're from a local and you're trying to think of who to involve, there may already be people that you're in contact with that would be a good fit. And then your role will be to assist them in going through the process to officially form the chapter, and then eventually to reach their goals. So the members in community chapters will be paying dues. 100% of those dues will go back to the project for the implementation of the plan. And so just the specifics, the dues will be $5 a month for non-wage people and $10 a month minimum for wage members. And it will go back. And so the role that the union will play will be to facilitate the collection of dues, the remittance of dues, and then the money will go back to implementing the plan, to trying to make gains on their issues. And the dues will be collected automatically on a quarterly basis. Donc, il y a aussi une série de...
There are also services that will be developed. Nothing necessarily exists at the present time. It's not been formalized, but it will develop as the project goes ahead. An example, it might be group insurance with medical support at a price that would be less than if they were not a member of the union. We might have information resources on labor codes by province so that people know their rights in each one of the provinces. And our role will be to connect the members of a community chapter with everything we do. For example, training opportunities. It could be organizing training or union representation training. We'll connect them to our political campaign and our awareness campaign that already are ongoing in the union, and try to establish links between their issues and our existing general issues. So in order to well understand the potential of this project, I'll talk about the groups with whom we've been talking in the past few months, and we have today the very first community chapter amongst us. It is the Freelancers Union. This was a local of the CEP representing freelancers in the media and communication sectors. And these members are working together in order to offer services to their members in order to break the isolation in which they work as freelancers and to have better rights and recognition. They're here with us as a local, so I'll ask them to be shown on the screen. There they are.
That have been active in building this, essentially what is the precursor to the community chapter program for many years. And over the past few weeks, we've also developed connections with some groups that are looking into forming community chapters, and some who have even started to go through the steps to form one. So first of all, we have in attendance a group of bike couriers that work here in Toronto. They're looking to organize members or people that work as bike couriers and potentially even more in the area here. And they have very obviously difficult, precarious work conditions that they face. So they're here as well. So folks, if you want to give us a wave here. Great to have you here. And I also welcome a group called Clergy United. They are here as well, who represents the clergy at the United Church of Canada and have been trying to organize and form a union within their membership for many years and have worked with CAW for a long time. So they're here as well, sitting over there.
And finally, I'm very happy to recognize the presence of organizers from the Immigrant Workers Center. It's from Montreal. They're there. And we're trying to explore what the options would be for a community chapter for them. So I welcome them. So with these present groups in the coming weeks, we'll try and set up the very first community chapters that will be formed within Unifor, and we'll continue with further projects in the future. Please keep note, we'll have a manual on community chapters in the coming weeks for locals or for potential groups that are interested in forming a community chapter. It'll be a guide to let you know what the steps are in order to form a community chapter.
A take-home message here, to be very clear, community chapters will be our way to build solidarity and power for all workers, even those who don't have a union. So I hope that works.
Thank you, Roxanne. Do we have a seconder for the discussion paper? Do we have a mover for the discussion paper? And a seconder? Okay, let's open up the floor. We'll start at microphone number 1.
Thanks, Brother Jerry, and thanks, Roxanne, for that wonderful paper. It's Lana Payne, Unifor Atlantic Director, and very proud to be able to say that. Our vision and organizing documents are clearly a call to action, but this document is a call to solidarity. It is about how we truly become a union for everyone. Sisters and brothers, part of being on the offensive means building union power in non-traditional places, in places where workers need unions the most. This, I believe, is the most exciting, new, and bold part of building union power. Community chapters speak to our long history of social unionism. They are a concrete example of how we expand union citizenship, but they are an extension of what we've always done. We have delivered social progress to all Canadians, and we should never forget that. We've always taken the gains that we've made at the collective bargaining table and fought so that they were available to all workers. Whether it was maternity leave or same-sex benefits, we did not stop until all of these gains became a part of the social fabric of our country. Today, we all know that the social progress that we've helped to build is under attack like never before. One of the ways that we can change course, one of the ways that we can push back, one of the ways that we can build economic and social justice for all Canadians is with this new idea of organizing. Or, as Cesar Chavez, a great trade union leader from the United States, once said, "We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for all of our communities. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations of others for their sakes as well as our own." I encourage you all to support this. Thanks.
Thank you. The brother at Mike 2.
Thank you, Jerry. Scott Doherty, proud Unifor member of 1123 and Western Region Director. I'm not going to echo everything Lana said, but I'm going to talk a little bit about Unifor was built as a new union project, and part of what we were wanting to do was reinvigorate the union movement, both within our organizations and across Canada. And that's what we have done today and yesterday and what we're going to continue to do as Unifor. But only if we are successful within our communities and with everybody within Canada are we going to be able to be the best union in Canada and build the social movement that we want to build. Community chapters are our way to do that. We're now going to be relevant with everybody in Canada. We're going to build solidarity with all workers in this country, and that's what the community chapters allows us to do. It's new, it's exciting, it's what we're supposed to be doing, and an extension of what we've just done the last few days in creating Unifor. I'm proud to be part of it. Thank you.
Thank you. To get through the order of the day, if the speakers would not mind just having their comments within a 3-minute time frame, it would be appreciated. Mike 3.
Thanks, President Jerry. Richard Pocket, Unifor Local 444, Windsor, Ontario. I want to talk about a challenge that we're taking in Windsor and the community, Windsor and Essex County. We're trying to utilize this community chapters. It's a cancer in our communities and probably most communities across Canada. It's called temp agencies, where workers are treated precarious at best. I know in my community, the city of Windsor and Essex County, we have 49 temp agencies alone, whether they're local, provincial, or national, or even international. And I can tell you that there's more temp agencies than we have Tim Hortons, which is really a shame. We talk about the temp agencies themselves. We got to talk about the perceptions of temp agencies, because a while back, perception was that when mom would go off to work to make a little bit of extra money for whatever it was, and she was replacing someone on paid leave, whether it was maternity leave or whether it was some kind of vacation. And if she liked her job, she could then go maybe file and put an application in at the Human Resources Department, and if she's lucky enough, she could get hired. We now talk about the perceptions of the temp agencies in our community anyway, and how they talk about workers being able to choose a career path. And how do they do that? Well, in their advertisement, they tell you you'll have multiple jobs working for multiple employers or multiple workplaces, then you should have the ability to be able to choose the job you want. And we know that's not what's happening. So let's talk about the realities we're facing in the last couple of years dealing with temp agencies. It's all about false hope and desperation. This rent-a-worker scheme that they have, we talk about it, it creates a two-tier section socially in our workplaces. We got to remember, first of all, temp agencies are actually employees or actually employ those workers, not the workplaces they're working in. In my community, temp agencies are collecting $25 to $29 per hour for those workers. The workers themselves get about $10.25 to $12 an hour. So if you do quick math, $5 an hour in approximate profit, times 24 hours a day, times 7 days a week, that company is making $840 a week off of one person. And I can tell you most temp agencies in our community have 300, 400, 500 workers themselves. There's also, I call it a disincentive clause. Temp agencies in our community will charge a corporation, a company, a workplace between 5 and 20% of that person's annual salary for them to be able to hire them into that workplace as a full-time person, which means that person never really gets a chance to become a full-time employee of that workplace. What happens with all of this? Well, we've got workers now that have no set schedule, no benefits, no pensions, living wages, or security of any kind. And I can tell you it's pretty hard on those workers, it's hard on their families, and most of all, it's pretty important, it's hard on our communities as well. We need to find a better way. Remember, folks, a worker is a worker is a worker. We have to remember that the divisions amongst ourselves in our workplaces are really put up by the economic system that we utilize today, not the workers themselves. This community chapter has allowed us, this coming together of Unifor, to recommit and have been rejuvenated with the utilization of the community chapters, and we're going to utilize it to target the temp agencies and these rental workers in our community. We must make a difference in our communities by coming together as workers. This fight back is about simply putting more money into the pockets of the workers. This again is about people making living wages, having benefits, pensions, security, stability, and being able to provide for their families. This allows them to then be active and participants in our communities. A real true win-win. So let me finalize by just asking you a couple of questions. Ask yourselves, what does our future look like? And secondly, what is really left for the next generation? Especially if we don't take on this poison called temp agencies. Thank you.
Thank you. Brother at Mike 4.
Yes, I'd like to give my spot to a brother who unfortunately doesn't yet have the benefit of a union. He would like to speak.
Thank you, brother. My name is Romel Arguera from Niagara Casinos. Most of you know our long struggle. We had 4 certification votes, 1999, 2001, 2003, and the last one, 2010. The bad news is we lost all of them. But wait, the good news is that hasn't slowed us down. That has made us stronger. In the inside committee, we are talking to our coworkers about the need for us to get organized. We are in touch with the organizing department. When we hear about this new union, we see hope, particularly with the community chapters. And we see hope not only for the workers in Niagara Falls working in those casinos. We see hope for the working class in this country. Let me tell you something. I don't want to take too much time from you. I know you have a busy schedule. 2 things. We are willing to keep fighting, obviously with your support and your leadership. And we know one day we are going to be part of this great union, Unifor. Thank you.
Well said, brother, well said. The speaker at Mic 5 is from my local union, Local 112, so with your permission, Faisal, I'd go right back to the brother at microphone 4.
Thank you. I just want to give the brothers and sisters here an idea of how this might work in your local. Our Local 2000, I'm Gary Engler. Our Local 2000 calls itself the BC Media Union. And for a long time we've talked about the possibility of organizing, quote, in the new media. But for lots of reasons we've never really done too much. We're mostly newspapers and printing plants, that sort of thing. And as probably everyone knows, that's dying in Canada, or at least it's significantly weakened. So we've applied for money under the organizing fund, and we want to use a community chapter to finally organize people in the digital media sector in BC. What we want to do is we want to create a community chapter called DigiUnion BC. And everybody who works in making video games and everybody who works in digital aspects of the film industry would be eligible to join DigiUnion BC. The idea is there are a lot of small, especially in the video game industry, small operations that do a project and then die and are recreated as something else to do another project. And as anybody from the film sector knows, that's also how a lot of the film business works, including in Vancouver at least, completely unorganized digital sector. So we want to create a community chapter where they can join. We want to use that, make a video game about joining a union. We want to make an animated short film about how you go about joining a union. We want to get those people together in a community chapter, and one of the incentives to join the community chapter is going to be some work that we would have to make these video games and this short film. And hopefully we get together a mass of those kinds of people, and once we reach a certain mass, we can in fact start functioning as a union hiring hall, which is indeed a very old idea going back, 100 years. Most of the film business, that's how they operate. So I just really think that other locals could try to do something along the same lines. And if anybody wants to talk about it, email me at local2000, and I'll share what we've learned by going through the process as far as we have so far. And I really support the idea of community chapters. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike 5.
Faisal Kareem, Unifor Local 112. I rise in support of this document in its entirety because I think there's a symbiotic relationship with our vision statement, our organizing drive, and hence our community building blocks going forward to awaken the consciousness of the working class in this country. But it's very important for me to say that this weekend our dreams can be realized. Our dreams can be realized because of the formation of the new union. It has given us a sense of anticipation that good things will happen, and that is important moving forward. I would like to suggest to this delegation that the 1% of the richest people in this country does not own Canada. I would like to also suggest that the 100 multinational corporations that is at the top of the food chain does not own Canada. I would also like to suggest that Stephen Harper does not own Canada. Canada belongs to all Canadians, the rich, the poor, the middle class, the working class. And our voices have to be risen above the decibel level of the Harper and his cronies in Parliament to take back this country that rightfully so belongs to the indigenous people and the middle class, the working class of this country. They have stolen this country by stealth. The multinationals, under the disguise of democracy, and they had the elected politician doing their dirty bidding for them and robbing the working middle class of their rightful place in the society. We have to become the guardians and the stewards and we have to take back the nation by our ability to organize from area to area, building community chapter, and those dreams can be only realized if we are conscious that wedge issues cannot avoid and counteract every positive things we're trying to do to build a better world. Because they have used the wedge issue quite effectively in pitting working class, middle class against each other. Everyone in this room at least knows or senses that the society is very mean-spirited today. We're divided. Politician is using divisive politics. But Karl Marx says, in the clear light of day, our dreams can be realized if the working class comes together once and for all and show what a kind of a world that we hope to achieve. And I would suggest that the community chapter, one important chapter I would like to see is Aboriginal special chapter being built. Thank you very much.
The question is being called. So let's test the House. All those in favor of calling the question, please signify. Opposed? It's close, Marcel, but I think it's carried. Thank you. Thank you very much. That was a great discussion on an incredibly important initiative. On the discussion paper, all those in favor, please signify. Opposed, of any? Carried. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. We've got some other business to take care of, and I'm hoping we can do this fairly quickly. It really is about giving us the framework to move forward, starting tomorrow as a fully functioning new organization. So if you could, please pull out your other tab booklet, the one titled Policies and Procedures. First off, we need to formally adopt our Strike and Defense Fund policy. It is in the fourth tab of the binder. And in order to go through this, I would like to call up the Unifor Secretary-Treasurer to give a short introduction to this resolution. Peter Kennedy.
That's not what you were going to do a moment ago, brother. We were going to call up the Unifor Transition Officer to give this presentation, which we will deal, and then I will move into the resolution that deals with the Strike and Defense Fund policy. Brother Gaetan Menard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, brother.
No problem.
Come, Jerry Lanes.
Okay, as Jerry said, in your kits, at the second to last tab of the book on Constitution, Policies and Procedures, you have the policy on the Strike and Defense Fund. I will not read it entirely. I won't go through it item by item. I just want to highlight the main items and start by saying that it's a fund that from the start will have a lot of funds into it, because we're starting today with $147 million in that fund. It's a fund which aims at supporting the members on authorized lockout or authorized strike. So we aim to provide our brothers, sisters, who, such as in Local 184, who decide to tell the boss enough is enough. So we have that defense fund, that strike fund, to assist them. It's going to be funded to up to 10% or to 10% of income coming into the national office. So out of the dues that you'll be paying to the national union, 10% of that dues will go into the strike fund. That fund will provide striking workers or locked out workers $250 per week from the first day, so from day one. Michel? From day one, Michel, that people are on strike, they will be entitled to $250 per week. And that defense fund will also provide an insurance to workers, and we call it and insurance from the shoulders down. So medication and life insurance, and the premiums of that insurance will be paid for by the Defense Fund. The administration of the fund, the general responsibility for administration of the fund comes to the National Executive Board, obviously, but of course the President, the Secretary-Treasurer, and the Quebec Director, our three national officers, will of course have important duties with regard to the administration of the strike fund. The President, among others, will be called upon to authorize the strike as per Article 17 of the Constitution. Admissibility to the funds, well, obviously the members have to carry out the duties that the locals have assigned to them, so the strike pickets and, whatever duties that they need to carry out. The sums or the amounts will be paid out by the national office, the national union. We will make sure that all get their money in opportune time or quickly so that they can continue to feed themselves and feed their families while they are fighting their employer. Support to the strike fund, that's important too, and so the locals will develop a strike fund and the defense fund will pay for, materials, vehicles and whatever else is needed. And financial assistance as well is provided for. We always wait for a certain time before calling on other locals. And what the Defense Fund is going to do here is, after the 5 weeks of labor dispute, the national president, in consultation with the directors or the Quebec director or the affected regional director, will call upon other locals to support the dispute and to support the members and the brothers who are on strike. So basically, there you have it. Not a lot of changes with regard to our two previous strike policies that we had in our two former unions, except for the fact that for CEP members, the insurance premiums are now paid for by the Defense Fund, and the strike pay will start on day one. So basically, there you have it. And you have this document in your kits. I hope you have had an opportunity to read through the policy. And I'm very happy to have such a healthy defense fund. And with the 10% of dues, we can make sure that it will remain a high-level fund, and we won't have any members who can't put food on the table when they decide to take on the boss. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Menard. Can I get a motion to adopt the Strike and Defense Fund policy? Moved. Seconder? Seconded. Before we open the floor for debate, I'm going to go to the resolution, put that on the floor as well. We'll deal with the Strike Fund and Defense Fund policy separately from the resolution to allocate certain funds from the Strike and Defense Fund policy, but we want to get them on the floor so that we, in the interest of time, I think we are about an hour and a half behind schedule and the hall is thinning. In your kits there is a resolution, a founding convention resolution that deals with the allocation of certain funds associated with the initial and founding costs of establishing and creating Unifor from the Strike and Defense Fund. As Gaetan has pointed out, we start out today at the outset with a Strike and Defense Fund in excess of $147 million. We have, as people understand, the cost of a convention such as this, a cost of the CEP Section 18 convention on Friday, the cost of the CAW convention, the cost of establishing a website to create Unifor, the costs incurred or will be incurred with respect to the changing of signs at local unions and national office buildings, the purchase of stationery and letterhead, and voluntary staff retirement costs, and a whole host of other issues that are yet to come as we deal with the creation of Unifor and the cost that neither one of our organizations quite frankly contemplated on when we entered into these discussions some 22 months ago. In addition, I say, sisters and brothers, with all respect, the union is not about building a bank account. It's about providing services, we know, to our members. I mean, we know all too well in the CAW, given our relationship with the UAW, that in fact they built a strike fund up to up to almost $1 billion. In fact, I think it was in excess of $1 billion, all the while that their membership was declining from over 1 million members down to about 400,000 today. So that is money, obviously, that we would argue ought to have been spent fighting back against that decline in union density and membership. So I think it's important that we keep in mind that even with the resolution that I will put on the floor now, we will still have a strike fund in excess of $132 million, which I dare say will provide us in good stead to take on any employer, whether it's the local Cilium Bay-Concours, Cilium Company of Bay-Concours, if I've got that correct, in Local 184, or any others starting tomorrow that want to take us on. So again, if you can look at the resolution, the Founding Convention resolution in your kits, it is resolved that the Unifor National Executive Board is empowered by resolution to recover from the Strike and Defense Fund of Unifor and transfer to the general accounts of Unifor the sum of money equivalent to the costs of the predecessor unions, CAW Canada and CEP and Unifor, in establishing the national union, a sum estimated to be up to $15 million. And can I get a mover for that resolution? Moved. Support? Moved and supported. So the floor is now open for discussion on both the Strike and Defense Fund policy and the resolution, Founding Convention resolution. Is any speakers? Microphone 3.
Don Vai, Local 514, Port Alice. There's two issues with this resolution. I cannot support this resolution in its present form, as in there is no, it's only an estimate of how much it is. The other part of this, I will not and I cannot support it because our membership has not given me the authority to provide retiree benefits out of a defense fund that was established to provide them with benefits if they get in a labor dispute. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Microphone 2.
Gary Schoenfeld, Unifor 911. I support this resolution. I think that what we're doing here right now is we are trying to sort of spark a revolution in this country, a revolution in thinking. And we're not going to do that by being bashful or by worrying about money when we have lots of it. What we're working against here, or what we're working for, I should say, is to defeat the current thinking, which is sort of a cheap labor, conservative, low-wage philosophy in this country. And we're going to have a hell of a fight on our hands in order to be successful. And I disagree that this is not very accurate of an assessment. It says it's up to $15 million. So, in fact, it's up to $15 million. It's not inaccurate. It's not an estimate. In terms of an estimate that we don't know what the final result is going to be. Thanks.
Thank you, brother. Microphone 1.
Thank you, brother. Dwayne Hancock, CEP, former CEP, Unifor 181, member of New Brunswick. We're also able to discuss the policy now as well?
That's correct, brother.
I just have a concern. I generally support everything that's here, but under the strike authorization, Article 24, Section 424, it says that if you don't achieve a 66 2/3 majority strike vote from your membership, that you can be denied strike benefits. Now, I'm going to go back to my membership and tell them, after paying into a strike fund, into a defense fund for all these years, if our strike mandate might only be 60%, because people are fearful in these economies, that our national local is not going to support us? That's not going to fly.
Well, brother, with respect, it doesn't quite say that. It says that locals are encouraged to receive or to get a strike vote that is at least 66 2/3%.
Yes.
And that if that is not attained, that the President has the authority for strategic purposes to allow the strike to continue regardless of whether or not that threshold has been met. You know, the situation is different in different jurisdictions vis-a-vis the potential for anti-scab legislation, although it's not working today in the province of Quebec. Other provinces that do not have that. But this, you know, this is one of the compromises, I guess, that we had during the course of our discussions in the proposal committee reports, the working group reports, where in fact we have different constitutional thresholds in our current CAW and CEP constitutions. Under the CEP rules, a strike could be conducted at 50% plus one.
That's democracy. 50% plus one is democracy.
Yeah. Well, again, but we had different. The flip side of that between both our organizations gets applied to the bylaws as well. Under the CAW world, the 66 2/3 was always a part of our Constitution. The fact of the matter is, though, the National Union will support those strikes, whether or not a 66 2/3 majority has been achieved in terms of the strike vote, where in fact we're not going into a situation where we are committing suicide. There's lots of situations where in fact, brother, we have strategically avoided a strike because we knew the employer was going to lock us out. We end up locked out, and our members get strike pay as a result of a lockout, and in that case that would happen as well. But the strategic thing, rather than turning the public perception against the employers from the employees, rather the members from the get-go, was you know, strategically adopted because, you know, now it's a lockout as opposed to a strike, and that makes sense in terms of how we want to portray ourselves with the media. But I'm advised, brother, that 50% plus one was not automatic under the former CEP Constitution, but in fact it still needed the authorization of the President to conduct a strike, and you know, that's really the situation here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Microphone 6.
François Morin.
François Morin, local president, 6003. First of all, what I'd like to say is that I was very proud at CEP, and I'm very, very proud to be a member of Unifor now. Unfortunately, I'm uncomfortable with that resolution, and my discomfort is this: a strike fund, in my mind, aims at protecting strikers or locked out members. And what I don't see in the resolution is that, and I understand that you need to pay for all these expenses, but I would like a refund to be made by Unifor to the strike fund within a reasonable timeline. I don't think that money should be used to pay for all these costs. But we could give out a loan to pay for these costs, and this loan could be reimbursed in a reasonable timeline. But the money should go back to the strike fund, in my mind.
Well, brother, I appreciate the sentiment that is being expressed, and the reality, of course, is that we do not have yet today any history. In 3 years from now, we will be coming back to a convention. And I will give you this commitment, brother, that if the general fund of the Unifor Union is healthy and in good shape, and we can afford to do so, I will be the first one putting a resolution on the floor to put that money back into the strike fund. Microphone 5.
Good afternoon, sisters and brothers. My name is Dan Davis, proud to say on my 4th elected term as plant chair. I'm only here to give more of a commentary on what we're trying to achieve here. One commentary, number one, on the issue 50% plus one on the strike. Even if we had that from our members, I would be very nervous even going through with a strike because you really don't got the support of the membership. But having said that, you have to find other strategic means of solving your labor disputes with the guidance of the National. So that when you're looking for a strike vote, you want 99%. You want 95%. That's what you want. On the other issue, on the startup cost, up to $15 million, I support, and I speak in favor of that. This is a one-time thing. We trust the assemblies, we trust the delegations to do what's right for our brothers and sisters, and it's just a startup cost. You got to start somewhere. If there's a spoke missing from the wheel, don't throw the whole wheel away. Let's move on and carry on with this great union, Unifor, and that's just a commentary.
Thank you, brother. Microphone 4.
Karen Gutowski, Local 1106 in Kitchener-Waterloo, and I would just like to say that I support this motion. We're in healthcare, and we cannot strike, but when we were CAW, now Unifor, they will come out and do hot dog stuff for us and all that good stuff to rally everybody up, and I support this for our healthcare issues. Thank you.
Thank you, sister. Microphone 6.
Thank you, brother. Dino Kyoto, President, Local 444 in Windsor. And I stand in support of what's been presented here, but I just want to express how important it is to have a good turnout and good support on a strike vote. And what we talk about at our local when we meet with the different groups before we have our strike authorization is we need to make sure we can get as close as we can to 100% on a strike authorization vote, because if 52% of the people support it, I'm not going to be able to maintain that line on strike, because 48% of the people are willing to cross the picket line to go back in, and I don't have the ability and power to be able to negotiate with that company to make sure that the demands that we're putting forward is exactly what we're looking to take home. So we need to make sure that we're talking on 100% as much as we can, that we're talking to our members and saying this is what we need in order to put the demands to the company and make those demands real, to make sure they understand what we are actually fighting for. So in saying that, if you're worried about getting 50 plus 1%, I'd like to suggest that you're not going to have a very good strike. It might be good for the first day, might be okay for the second day, but I'll tell you, 3 days or 5 days from that first day that you lose work, you're going to have problems, and those workers are going to be crossing the picket line, and that's not what we want. We want to make sure we're unified, we're together, and we're making a difference, and that's what Unifor is about. That's why we're in this room. Because we want to make a difference for our members, but we want to bring them with us. And it's about educating our members, telling them what we need to move forward and getting good, solid, collective agreements. And with regards to the $15 million, brother, I think it's vitally important, because I don't want to start Unifor in a deficit position. I want to make sure we're doing the right thing. So on behalf of this convention, the members that are in here, I ask you all to support this policy paper resolution, because I think it's the right thing for us right now going forward and making the right decision for our members. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Brother at microphone 1.
My name is Jim Garrett, and I'm with the Unifor Local 5555. I request permission of the chair to speak. I'm not a delegate. May I? In favor of the motion.
Well, you've got the chair's endorsement, but let me test the House. How does the House feel? Go ahead, brother.
Thank you, brother. I'm going to have your job in 10 years, okay? Anyway, when I do business with people, I do business with them, and I trust them until they have given me reason not to trust them. I have seen no reason in the 10 years or so that I've dealt with the CAW, I see no reason from what I've seen of the CEP or Unifor or the organizing committee, I see no reason to mistrust them. And so I support this motion because these are good people doing the best thing they can for us. And there you go.
Thank you very much, brother. Microphone 2.
Gaétan Ménard, Director Transition. Given that we're talking about strikes and that earlier on we spoke about an anti-scab legislation in Quebec, and yes, sometimes it's not respected by the employers, such as Silicium Bécancour. That being said, it's a law that favors Quebec workers, and I would like to recognize my brother, Robert Dean, who was part of the PQ government who introduced this law in 1976. Thank you very much, Brother Dean. Of course, I speak in favor of both resolutions that we have before us. The first is that the first resolution on the creation of a defense fund, that goes without saying, and we must be proud to have an organization capable of supplying substantial strike pay whenever our brothers and sisters decide to draw a line in the sand and say enough is enough, we're going out on the street. And I think that's a very good strike fund. And as far as the 15 millions, I can understand your hesitation, but be sure that with $132 million, none of our brothers or sisters will go out on a picket line or on a lockout who will not be able to receive the $250 per year. We have $132 million in our strike fund, which will continue to grow with 10% of our revenues from Unifor going into that strike fund, so the money's there. Starting a new union, as Brother Kyoto mentioned earlier on, we need to be on solid basis, and that's the idea behind this resolution, to make sure that we have a solid Unifor, that will have a general fund that is solid, that will have an organizing fund that is solid. That's the idea. We want to make sure that those funds are solid and not start in a deficit position or right on the line, and then we're always caught between a rock and a hard place. It's an excellent resolution. I would encourage you to vote in favor.
Thank you, brother. The question is being called. There's 3 more speakers. This is an important item, and with the indulgence of those that are calling the question, I'd like to deal with the last 3 speakers. We will not accept any more speakers. If any more speakers come up, I will then test the House. Microphone 5.
Good afternoon. Francis Bell, Local 31, representing Bell Canada workers in Eastern Ontario. I'd like to speak in opposition to this motion. Not because it's $15 million that's unaccounted for, not because it was $15 million that was brought forward in a voluntary impromptu session after Friday evening and discussed. I was very uncomfortable with that. I'm not speaking opposed to this because this is not $15 million that was never approved by this floor. I'm speaking in opposition to this because I don't think that we should set a precedent today of accessing the Defense and Strike Fund for non-defense and strike needs. I don't want it to become a precedent that it becomes a slush fund for other things.
Thank you, brother. Delegate at Mike 6.
Michel Ducap, 6003, Bell Canada. I would like to make an amendment to the motion if possible. It would be to add that it be resolved that the Executive Board of Unifor present at the next convention a reimbursement plan for the $15 million. It's somewhat similar to what you said, Brother Kennedy, earlier on, that you would propose such a motion if we were in good financial health. Thank you.
Well, the commitment I made, brother, was that, in fact, depending upon the status of the general fund of the Unifor Union at that time in 2016, when we reconvene in our first convention, notwithstanding an inaugural founding convention, that if the strike fund was or if the general fund was healthy enough to at that time absorb the amount estimated to be up to $15 million. It may not come in at $15 million. It may be over $15 million, in which case only $15 million would be allocated from the Strike and Defense Fund. That was my proposal if it was there. And if it's not there and not able to do that, then I guess we could put a proposal together as to what would be the methodology over time to reimburse the Strike and Defense Fund. You know, if that satisfies the delegates, I'm fine with that. But the reality is, brothers and sisters, to me, that's a little bit of smoke and mirrors, quite frankly. As I understand it, there was a 30-year payback period, Gaetan, for a Strike and Defense Fund expenditure, which in fact was an organizing fund expenditure in CEP over time. So I mean, a 30-year payback plan is, again, as I say, it doesn't really get to the purpose. I mean, the question is, how healthy is our Strike and Defense Fund? I mean, the reality is, over time, and it's building fairly rapidly, sisters and brothers. I mean, between the CAW and CEP Strike and Defense Funds over the last year, the situation has improved by almost $10 million. So let's assume, a few years out, we've got a $200 million strike fund. But the membership continues to decline. Does it not make sense that we would take some of that money to spend it on organizing and building the union? And in fact, the Strike and Defense Fund policy already gives the National Executive Board the authority to allocate money from the Strike and Defense Funds for special campaigns. So, I mean, we are proposing something here today that we think makes good sense for Unifor on an inaugural basis to start out on the right financial footing and still have plenty of money available to support any sister and brother in a strike or a lockout or anything that is required in relationship to fighting the employer. Microphone 2.
Terry Johns, Unifor 911. I totally support this motion. I'm not sure what everybody's looking for. If that they want, when we leave here, Unifor has to walk into the bank and say, please, we want to borrow $15 million at 26% interest, and we'll pay it back in 30 years. I just, not when we have the money sitting there, and it's not going to deplete our defense fund where we don't have it anymore. And the reason I feel quite strongly about this is last August I had to leave work with throat cancer. I returned 2 months ago, and I had a note from my doctor telling my employer that I wasn't to use my voice too long. The HR department said, well, that wasn't clear enough to them. They wanted to know how many minutes, an hour I could talk. So don't ask me how you explain that to them. And they didn't start looking at it differently until I sat in the office with my union president. And he just simply said, you know that by not accepting this doctor's note that could constitute a union grievance. And it was funny that we had to go to that extent to get their attention. I mean, so spending a little bit of money to get a more powerful union up and running, I can't see not doing it. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. No, but the question was being called. The question was being called, and with the indulgence of the crowd. Point of order, point of order on mic 1.
Brother Kennedy, it's Brett McMillan, Local 38. I believe the brother from Quebec made an amendment. Was that not a motion that you need to deal with before you can call the question?
Brother, I didn't hear a seconder for that amendment, and I explained the position.
I second that motion.
Okay, I'm sorry, it was off the floor.
Okay, let's deal with it here. Okay. Now, let's get right back to why we're here. Let's talk about the amendment, and then if we want to test the amendment, we'll test the amendment. Because let's not lose focus of why we're here. Yes, we're going to be democratic. Everybody's going to have their opportunity to say their piece. We will discuss if in fact people want to amend motions. But let's not forget while we're here. First of all, the strike fund, the defense fund will never be a slush fund. And one thing that we will always do, if in fact we are ever going to come to this body, if there's ever going to be any discussion about using the defense fund for anything besides strikes, in defense of our members, it'll be discussed and debated and voted on by the leadership in this room. Do we really want a union? Do we really want a union that has 120, 30, 40, 50, 200 million, 250 million, 300 million that doesn't represent our members? Hell no. We want to make sure that we use our members' money correctly to build an organization which will give them strength. Think about this, brothers and sisters. Think about this. If our union, and my former union, the CAW, would have wanted to organize 100,000 members, do we really believe we would have organized 100,000 members by spending less than $15 million? Do we really think that in our organizing statement that we just passed, we committed to spending $10 million a year? And hold on here. And for the purpose of us establishing a new organization, by establishing a new organization, we don't think that we should hit the ground running? Brothers and sisters, we got to hit the ground running. You're going to have your point of order when I'm done, brother. We're not going to have point of orders to disrupt the democracy of the union. And we'll open it up. So, brother, on mic 5, I have finished. You can have the mic.
Part of the point of order.
The point of order will now be voted on.
Point of order cannot be
No,
voted
excuse
on.
me, the amendment. My apologies. So the amendment, brother, would you like to get up and make the amendment again? What's your point of order?
Mr. Chair, Sandy Carroll, Local 723M, Unifor. Chairs are not supposed to speak to the motion, Mr. Chair. We've had two chairmen speaking to the motion. That's against the rules, and you know it.
Hold on here. First of all, Peter was chairing. Second of all, I do not think by any stretch of the imagination by me saying my piece is out of order. We're all going to say our piece, and if that means that if I'm going to say my piece as chairing, we're going to say our piece as chairing. Everybody's going to have their opportunity to speak, including me. So the brother, I'm sorry, brother at mic 6.
Michel Ducap, 6003. So the amendment to the resolution would be as follows. Be it resolved that the Executive Board at the next convention present a reimbursement plan in reasonable delays of the funds utilized for the creation of this great union that is Unifor.
Is there any discussion on the amendment? First of all, is there a seconder? There's a seconder. Is there any discussion on the amendment? Mic 1.
Angela Adams, Secretary-Treasurer of Local 707A. I stand in opposition of the amendment. I've heard lots of conversation in the last few minutes about how we should not take this money because the defense fund is only to be used in defense of the membership. Well, sisters and brothers, we are all under attack in this country. And this unity of our two great unions was done in offense of what the government and the employers are doing to us. And this is a good cause. It's $15 million to save us.
Is there any other discussions on the amendment? Mike 5. Mike 3?
I am too opposed to the amendment. And I totally agree with what Sister just recently said. Think about it. We're only almost 24 hours old and we're a new union. And like I said originally, it's a one-time thing. It's a startup cost only. And it's an estimate. I have the floor here. And I'm going to tell you something. We do not want to become a new union with our arms tied behind our backs. I can't express enough to this assembly that we're under attack by the conservative corporate agenda, but let's not attack each other here at this assembly. Let's do the right thing, and let's start off right, not wrong.
Is there any more discussions on the amendment? Microphone, brother at Mike 3.
Michel Ouimet, directeur québécois.
Michel Ouimet, Quebec Director. Brother Chair, it hasn't been said, I won't repeat what has already been said, but I would draw your attention to Article 2, Paragraph 11. It says that after approval of the Executive Board, a sum not exceeding monies put in the Defense Fund in the prior year, monies can be used to defend the union and its members, campaigns to protect jobs, and expenses arising out of court or arbitration cases related to strikes or lockouts. This paragraph already allows us to take money from the Defense Fund to work on campaigns that are not directly related to a strike. Let's not lose our goals from sight. Be reassured. We've had debate at the executive boards of our two predecessors' unions about this before making such a resolution. Were the debates hotly debated? Yes. Did we analyze this carefully? Yes. As Gaetan said earlier on, can we start Unifor with a deficit of $15 million in the general fund? We'll be shooting ourselves in the foot, and this will really undermine what we find in the paragraph 11, that is the good defense of our members. And trust us, trust the two executive boards of our predecessors' unions and all of the members before you here at the front. Analyze this, trust us, reject this amendment so that we adopt a resolution as is.
Is there any more discussions on the amendment? Mike 6.
Sherry Lakeman, Unifor 4212, St. Lawrence Seaway. I'm just sitting with a bunch of my colleagues here, and we're not even sure how much money there is.
$147 million.
$147 million in this fund. Is that all the money that we have between the two collective unions that came together? I'm sorry, I don't have that information in front of me. So I'm struggling with this decision. I'm struggling with the amendment.
Yeah.
If we had more information, then I can make an informed choice for my membership back at the Seaway.
No, sorry, sister. I thought that we had clarified that at the outset. But the current balance of the CAW strike fund is just over $97 million. The current balance in the CEP Defense Fund is just over $50 million. So when we combine those two funds, we have a balance in the strike and defense fund of in excess of $147 million. The proposal, if adopted, would then mean that the strike and defense fund, depending upon the costs when they all come in, would be no less than just over $132 million.
There's other funds. Is there other money?
Oh, absolutely. The net worth of CAW Canada is in excess of $200 million. I don't know what the net worth of CEP is today. About $90 million. So we're in the $300 million range in total net worth.
Brother at Mike 5.
Francis Bedell, 31. It sounds to me like we have quite a bit of money in lots of different funds. Why does it have to come from the defense fund?
Go ahead.
Well, there's education funds, and we need to educate our members. We have a general fund. We need to operate the union. We have a convention fund that we will start on a go-forward basis for the next convention. The reality is that we have a huge sum of money in the strike and defense fund. If we don't adopt this motion, then we will be starting out in a negative position in those other funds that we use on an ongoing basis, a day-to-day basis, to run the affairs of the union.
Okay, can you explain to me the hostility we're getting for asking for it to be paid back incrementally over a period that you're comfortable with? Explain to me why that's a problem.
You're not feeling...
That's what the amendment is about. It's about paying it back incrementally over a period of a few years. Why is that a problem?
Brother, we are all going to debate the issue. It's not a question of hostility. You feel very strongly on the matter, and others feel strongly in opposition to your position. So it's not a question of hostility. We have a disagreement, and that's fine. It's absolutely fine that we argue and we disagree with each other, but the key thing is at the end of the day, whatever decision is made by the majority will be the decision that we all adopt. That's what the union is going to be about. The question is being called. The question is being called. Do you have a point of order?
Monsieur le Président.
Brother Chair, is it possible that when we have a discussion, we have either 3 or 5 minutes? It's not a discussion between the chair and the person at the mic. When people show up at the mic, they debate, and then we go on to the next mic. We shouldn't have to debate with the chair. Thank you.
The question has been called. All those in favor of calling the question, please signify. Opposed of any? Carried. On the amendment. The amendment is that the $15 million being reimbursed, the reimbursement plan, be laid out in the next convention. All those in favor of the amendment, please signify. Opposed? It's defeated.
Go
ahead, you finish it. It is. Go ahead.
Okay, no, the question has already been called. We're moving to the vote now. Okay, so the first vote will be on the strike and defense fund policy. All those in favor of the strike and defense fund policy, please raise your hands. Down. Opposed, if any? And it's carried overwhelmingly. Now on the resolution. All those in favor of the resolution, please signify. Down? Opposed? And it's carried overwhelmingly. Thank you, sisters and brothers. Deal with all this. Okay, thank you very much, delegates. Our next piece of business is the issue of anti-harassment. Mike 3? I'm sorry, brother.
J'avais un point d'intérêt où...
I had a point of special interest. I have no decision-making power, and I can raise my hand. How many people here have been raising their hands when they're not delegates on the amendment? I don't know.
Well, I would assume that everybody in this room are delegates, but clearly, whether there is 10, 20, 50 people in this room who are not delegates that voted, it wouldn't have affected the outcome, brother. But I agree that nobody in this room should be voting unless they're a delegate. No question about that. Thank you. Are we ready to move on to the next order of business? Mike 4.
Hi, Bobby Pearsall, Local 6008. I knew we just had a very passionate discussion about the Defense Fund, and we're moving to the anti-harassment.
Yes, sir.
But I want to take the time to thank those who decided to challenge this, because this is a democracy. We spent this weekend talking about being in a democracy, being part of Unifor. This wasn't our brothers and sisters attacking anyone. This is people talking from a passion who cares about what happens to this union. So that's what I want to make a point. Thank you for challenging.
Go ahead, brother. Mike 5.
Dave Hicks, Local 29X, Peterborough, Lindsay, Halliburton. Now, our table here seems like everybody's looking at us like we're the bad guys here.
No, nobody
well, I
is,
just
bro.
want to let you know where the whole thing comes from here. When the CEP, when we had our arbitration bargaining fund was in the whole mix and everything, it was always running in a deficit. So when we all of a sudden we took over our arbitration bargaining fund, all of a sudden there's $1 million in there. So this is why we have our little pulling back a bit about money being slushed around. So that's where we're coming from, just so you know.
No problem, brother. Thank you very much for getting up. The brothers are absolutely right, that the last two speakers, because we are going to debate issues. And we're going to debate them, and sometimes we're going to debate them passionately, and that is absolutely what we should be doing. Brothers and sisters, we'll never move along unless we debate the issues that are important to us. So, brother, in no way, shape, or form is your group isolated by the fact that you dissent. That's okay. We encourage that. But the key thing is that we all have to make sure that when we make a collective decision, we move forward. So this union will always be based on our willingness and our right to speak the opposite position. And as you have the right to speak the opposite position, and you have the right to debate, as the chair, I will never relinquish that right. Because I was elected to say what is on my mind, to say what I need to say to government, to the corporations, to other unions to help build. And brothers and sisters, we cannot use this forum through technicalities to silence me. And I'll say this to you seriously, brothers and sisters, I'm not going to be silenced. I'll have my say just like all of you. So thank you very much, brother, for getting up. I appreciate that very much. Now let's move on to the next order of business, because we've got some policy papers to get through, and then we have, of course, our incredible celebration tonight at Nathan's Phillips Square. So let's go to the anti-harassment issues that are outlined in the document. We know, brothers and sisters, that Unifor is committed to equality, inclusion, and participation. Our struggles against sexism, racism, homophobia, and other forms of discrimination are a part of our core business. We won't tolerate harassment in any way, shape, or form. If you take a look in your tab book, you'll see that there are several statements describing our anti-harassment policies. I propose that we deal with all of these statements as a group. One deals with harassment in the workplace. The second is some model language on anti-harassment that should be included in all of our collective agreements. The third is the full anti-harassment policy dealing with union events. And the fourth is a short handout version of that policy. We need to adapt these policies today, brothers and sisters, to ensure that Unifor's activities starting tomorrow are fully inclusive and respectful. You have 4 statements, and I propose we deal with them as a group. Is there a seconder? Do we have a mover, excuse me, and a seconder? Is there any discussion? Mike 3.
Just a point of privilege, Brother Diaz. I see a lot of folks leaving the room right now. It's very disturbing to me because harassment takes place in our workplaces every single day. Those folks that are leaving the room aren't going to get the discussion and the importance of what we're here to talk about under this policy. I ask anybody that's in here, hang tight. This is so important to our solidarity. Stay in the room. Let's have the discussion. Let's learn a few things and protect our members. Thank you.
Is there any other discussions on these policies? All those in favor of... Oh, I'm sorry, is there...
Yeah. Okay.
Mike 1.
Bernie Gillis, Unifor proud member as well, from past member of CEP. I just want to make a comment on the fact that somebody got up and said they voted and they weren't a member. I was voting... Look, I voted the way I wanted to vote here, and if there was somebody sitting at my table and they weren't a member, I think it's a great thing that we invited people here that aren't delegates, but you are all made welcome. If somebody sat at my table and they voted, I would take a responsibility to make sure that person didn't vote, even if they were voting the way I wanted to vote. So I'm going to ask that people do respect the process we got here, and if you're not a member, don't disrupt it by voting when you're not supposed to vote.
I don't. Mike 1.
Yeah, I just kind of want to reiterate what he said, but clarify it a little better. My name is Steve East. I'm a delegate from Magna, Mississauga Seating 2009. And it's not about being a member. If the procedure is that the vote be for the delegates, then if you are a delegate, then make it clarified that you have a show of hands for or against, and that vote is only for the delegates. If that's what it is, can you clarify that, please?
First of all, I doubt very much there's anybody in this room that is not a delegate that would be voting. Second of all, there is no question about it. The only people in this room that can vote would be the elected delegates from their local unions.
Very much.
Thank you. Is there any questions? Oh, Sister, Mike 1.
Thank you, Brother. Karen White, Local 410. I just have a question on the policy because I think that the policy for anti-harassment or at union events is critical. And just because we are a bit rushed this afternoon, I'm not clear on something.
We're not rushed, sister.
So, well, we are a little bit, brother. We're an hour and a half behind.
That's okay. I'll be here all night if that's what it takes.
So my question, though, is that under the CEP harassment policy, we had a statement that we read at every single union function. That statement was critical in bringing to every single member the fact that we would not tolerate any form of harassment. I thought it was an incredibly useful tool, and I'm just unclear as to whether this statement needs to be read at every union function, or will there be a one-pager that comes out that we read at every union function? Can you just provide some clarity on that, please?
Okay, the anti-harassment policy will be debated on and voted on at this meeting. That'll be our governing principles and policies on how we move forward. There is no question that at the beginning of every conference, meeting, convention, we will talk about the fact that we have policies in place, and we will put into place a procedure where if anybody feels harassed, they will have a place to go. But if it is the wishes of the delegation at that meeting or the convention that we read out the policy, we can absolutely do that as well. But the people in this room, the debate, the discussion, the vote we have today will entrench those policies in how we operate from now onwards.
Okay, thank you, brother. I would just end by saying that I think it's critical that we do read it out. It's
Okay.
important that it be given the time that it deserves and the importance that it deserves.
We will absolutely do that if that's what the delegates wish. Mike 5.
Again, my name is Dan Davis, Unifor Local 3005. What I will do to this assembly, I will apologize to this assembly using the word attack. What I'm really trying to say is I don't want to see us attacking each other. We're brothers and sisters. So please accept my apologies. I'm sorry. That was not my intent. What I was really trying to say, that we have a new union. We have a new president. We're going to have some wrinkles to iron out. And just be a little more understanding and have a little more tolerance of our issues. We're all new. We all come from different sectors. We're two unions, became one. So again, please accept my apologies, because that was not the intent to hurt any member in this assembly.
Are there any other... Sister, Mike 5.
Excuse me, this is the first time I've ever been here, and I'm a little nervous. Sorry.
Okay, come on. Nothing for you to be nervous about. You're with family.
I wasn't going to say anything, and I'm sorry if I don't know the process or the comments to use when I want to say something, but I just want to make a point, or I just want to make a comment to the gentleman who came over and felt that his table was being attacked. Maybe that's an inappropriate word. I just want to say, from my point of view, I found that fiscally responsible, and I thought what you did was a good thing. And this is Unifor, and it is supposed to be a very democratic environment, and I'm very proud of what you did.
Sister at Mike 4.
Good afternoon, Lynn Blunt, Local 103. I've belonged, as I said, to 4 unions, and I believe that we should all read a statement at the beginning of our meetings to show malice towards no one. There has to be inclusion. In my first union at TCU, we had an oath that we read. And I can remember taking a few minutes while we read that, and it meant something. And I think it brought us all together to stop and think, why are we here? So that people don't feel like that gentleman did at his table, that he felt harassed. Please don't ever feel that way. You have a democratic right to speak. Take the time. But I think that's important, that we ensure everyone feels welcome at a convention and at our local meetings. So I'd like to see something come out, if we find this is too long to read, something that just makes you stop and think at a meeting or convention why you're here, the good for all, and that everybody has rights. Thank you.
On the 4 documents, the 4 policy papers. All those in favor, please signify. Opposed of any? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. There's one last piece of business. And it's an important piece of business for all us today, and we're talking about it, frankly, with some of the discussions that we've had. I want you to take a look at the last tab of the Policies and Procedures booklet. We have already passed Unifor's Strike and Defense Fund policy and all of our anti-harassment policies. Of course, both the CAW and CEP had dozens of all their policy procedures in the books. Some of these policies have standed the test of time. Some of them may no longer be needed. Some will need revision, some will need more debate, and some will need more discussion. All of these decisions will be made over the coming months and years as a part of the normal democratic process of the new union. For now, however, we need to do is pass a general motion. Why don't we call it an omnibus motion? If you like, that will grandfather all of these standing policies from both of our organizations. They will remain on the books of Unifor until such time as Unifor delegates in the future opt to change or retire them. The grandfathering resolution lists all the specific policies that will carry forward in the new union. This is just a bit of housekeeping for us, brothers and sisters. I stress once again, in the future we will have time to fully debate any changes we need to make. Is there a mover for this composite resolution? Is there a seconder? Is there any debate? Mike 4.
Bhutan Charvet, 2S. And Brother Dias, can you please just expand on point number 5, therefore be it resolved, where it talks about the paid education provision? I know you've had a discussion with me about it before, but I know that probably 98% of the people from CAP don't know what that all entails. So if you could explain it, that'd be great.
Okay, is this the one with mandatory paid education leave?
Yes.
Okay, let me talk about it. Within the old CAW, we have a paid education leave program which has been around for years. And here's what we have done in order to train, create activism, mobilize, energize our members. When we go into bargaining with the employers, we negotiate 2 cents, 3 cents, 4 cents an hour per compensated hour that the employer pays towards our education programs, a paid education leave program in Port Elgin. And the paid education leave program is a 4-week program. So it's a program, if you can imagine, that's paid by the employer, funded by the employer, for us to use to train our members, to mobilize them to fight against the corporate agenda. So the paid education leave program has been a foundation of the CAW for years. So the policy means that the paid education leave requests in bargaining stays on the table. Now, does that mean that if we have everything in place that we're going to have a strike and put thousands of people out on a picket line over the paid education leave program? The answer is no. But what it does mean, and we're making a statement to the employers, that the education of our members and a key provision for moving forward with Unifor to build activism is going to be through our education programs, with the paid education leave program being at the heart of it. So that's what it means, sister. Is there any other questions on the policies, on the omnibus bill? Oh, Mike 6.
Jasmine Martin, Local 8284. I'm looking quickly through it. What about the Distinction of Women Award? Was it part of a policy, of another policy, or was there a special policy on it? Because I don't see it. I see the Neil Reimer Award, I see many, but the one that we had at CEP for the Women of Distinction Award, I cannot find.
Morning, sister.
Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. In the morning, Manif. At the demonstration, you mean?
Tomorrow, I mean, it'll be there. If it was there, it's going to be there. Microphone 2.
Merci, confrère président. Thank you, Brother Chair. Sylvain Martin, Unifor, Quebec. I'd like to draw your attention to item 5. I won't come back to everything that you explained with regard to the importance of paid education leave and all of the operations of that leave, but I'd like to draw the attention of my brothers and sisters in Quebec on the following. In our collective agreements right now, we have about 85 or 86% of our collective agreements that include a clause, CEP clause, which we call in our jargon the following. When we negotiate with a new group, automatically it's in our book of demands that we negotiate such a clause, an education clause, a CEP. Employers know that. It was a paid education leave that we negotiate that. And we never leave the collective agreement without that paid education leave clause negotiated. The fact is, in Quebec, with the new Unifor union, instead of having 85% of our collective agreements with a paid education leave, a PEL will drop down to 40% of our collective agreements with a PEL, because the brothers and sisters of our former CEP CAW, or majority with regard to us. We're going from 21,000 members to 53,000 members, so it's just a question of mass. So we'll have much fewer paid education leave clauses in our collective agreement, and I'm thinking that the employers will probably challenge us on that, attack us on that, and that's why we've written it in here that we need to reinforce the paid education leave clauses and keep them, because I'm anticipating that all our existing PEL clauses will be challenged by the employer because they're going to say, oh, that's no longer a standard at Unifor. So that's why that item 5 is there, and I'm encouraging everyone to negotiate these PEL clauses.
And then brother at Mike 6.
Mary Susan Yankovich, Local 232. I'm an NDP staffer, so the word omnibus bill sometimes gives us chills. But in this case, I think that this is a huge document. Lots of work has gone into it. And the union's not our great mother milk cow in the sky. Everything isn't going to be perfect. We're going to work forward. Yeah. We're going to stand on the shoulders of the leadership that has come before us. And I think that this has to be a living document that will grow. And everyone's going to leave with a little piece of disappointment that they didn't get what they wanted under the Christmas tree or for their birthday present. And we have to figure out how to live with those disappointments not being the point of our, in the forefront of our mind, that sometimes we have to figure out where we bend and grow, and we're going to bend and grow together, and I think that's how we should move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Last speaker on Mike 6.
Jerry Stahl, Chairperson, Local 4212, St. Lawrence Seaway. For all you people that do not have paid education leave in your program, our local totally supports this endeavor. We just had recent elections this year, and in our last negotiations, we were able to negotiate our paid education leave paid by the company from 4 cents an hour to 5 cents an hour. And what that's enabling us to do is because of the changes that we've had in our recent elections. This September, we have 6 executive members going to Port Elgin, taking various courses to support our members in whatever the endeavors are. Everything from workplace health, WSIB 1 and 2, to stress in the workplace, to grievance handling and workplace leadership, to health and safety. If you are not familiar with this program, I encourage you to go on the old CAW website, look at the paid education leave program, and please try to negotiate it in your collective agreements, because this is one of the greatest tools you will have for not only yourselves and your executive, but for your members to be able to serve them better against what's coming down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. On the motion, the grandfathering motion for all of our resolutions and policies. All those in favor, please signify. Opposed of any? Carried. This is it. It's Lorraine, eh? Well, brothers and sisters, it's been an incredible 2 days. But before I call up Lorraine Sagato from the Parachute Club to end this incredible convention, just please just give me just a couple more moments of your time. Because I think that the debate, the discussions that we've had over the last couple days have been absolutely incredible, and you ought to give yourselves one heck of a hand for a job well done. And you know, brothers and sisters, the debate that we just had, the differences that came out, that's going to continue because that's the way we're going to move forward. Differences are healthy. And the way we're going to move forward is all of us getting in this room, we're going to say our piece, we're going to debate it, and more importantly, we're going to move forward. We always have to make sure that what we say is respectful, but the bottom line is, brothers and sisters, we're all passionate, and we're passionate in what we believe in. So for someone to get up to a microphone and be passionately opposed to a position that we may be taking is not only healthy, it's absolutely encouraged. Because last time I checked, as our role as union leaders, we generally border on insubordination just by the general nature of our jobs. So brothers and sisters, we ought to be proud of what we do, and we all got to be proud for what we stand for. You know, brothers and sisters, I wish I could slow down the clock, make time stop, let this great discussion continue. We only had 2 days, and we're going to have to adjourn. But think about what we've got accomplished. Think about what we've accomplished in the last few days. As we head out tonight with our dancing shoes on, and we head to the great concert tonight, Unifest, our great celebration that we've earned, think about what we've accomplished, brothers and sisters. We formed a union with 3,000 of us in this room for the last 2 days. We've adopted a constitution, a great union. We elected your first leadership team. We adopted our first policies. We put into place a clear plan to lift up the level of activism, the ambition, the social mandate of our movement. It was a jam-packed days, no doubt about it. We were behind our agenda. We were all impatient with the lack of time, and it was frustrating at times, I recognize, and I thank all of you for your patience and goodwill, your discipline, and your solidarity. Don't worry if you were lined up at the mic and you didn't get your chance to speak, because I promise you this. Uniform will have more meetings, more councils, more standing committees, more dialogue, more participation than any union in the history of the Canadian trade union movement. This was an enormous undertaking, and while we had a few hookups, at a whole it ran relatively smooth. This convention couldn't have occurred without the incredible efforts of dozens of people, staff, leadership from both unions, the convention staff, TELAV, and your locals for plugging in the system so effectively. Please let's have a collective thank you to all the people whose work and commitment made this convention happen. Thank you very much. We have to remember why we're here. Number one, we're going to take care of our members. Number two, we're going to do everything we can to protect our members. Because we have to remember, the government has taken care of their friends. First they deregulated, then they privatized, then they went after children. They eliminated child care agreements. Then they went after women. They cut funding to NAC. They closed women's centers. Then they eliminated the gun registry. And then they went after our seniors. They rejected our proposal for higher benefits, retiree benefits in the CPP. Then they raised the retirement age to 67. Then they came after us all when they slashed EI benefits and made it almost impossible for our members and Canadians to collect benefits. Then they crushed the hopes and dreams of young people and our members alike by not having any sort of a strategic strategy. So brothers and sisters, we're born today with a vision, and a vision that it creates activism, and a vision to fight back. So brothers and sisters, when we leave this hall, we leave as one, we leave with determination, we leave with dedication, but more importantly, we deal with heart, hope, and incredible pride in our new union, Unifor. Thank you very much, brothers and sisters. Let's get it done. Lorraine Sagano. Where's Lorraine?
Hey there, brothers and sisters. It's Lorraine Sagano. I came here to celebrate what you are about to do, what you have done. I honor your courageousness in this time. So we've come to play some music for you. Very short set, 3 songs, and we're going to send you off into the beautiful Labor Day tomorrow, okay? Thanks for having us. And do not forget, we are only human. We're only human. We're only human. Hey, come on, help us out now. I'm walking down the street, lost in a fantasy. It felt so good to be flirting with a stranger. I see a sister wandering round like her life is upside down. She's losing her direction. I see a man with a begging bowl. He says he'll never cry no more. His past was bright, but now his future is in question. I try to do what I can, do my best to be human. We want an answer right now. Say that we're only human. We're doing the best that we possibly can. We'll make some mistakes and we'll make some new plans. We're only think about my friends, you know they work so hard. What's the point of all the stress that drags me down? Hey, we've all made a few mistakes. Now tell me where's the give and take? We need some easy, need some breezy right now. And I can knock you down, or if you raise you up. I know the future's a question. We'll chase whatever comes. We're only human, doing the best that we possibly can. We'll make some mistakes and we'll make some new plans. We're only human. Hey people, we're only human. We're only human. And you might be right, and you might be wrong. You might be feeling alone. Hey, well, we're only human. Hey, whoa, you're trying to hold it up when your life is crashing down. It's hard in these times are hard. Hard to be a human, hard to be a human. You got to dig deep, find hope, find faith inside. We're only human. We're doing the best that we possibly can. We'll make some mistakes, we'll make some new plans. We're only human. People, we're only human. Oh yes, we're only human. We're only human. Oh yeah, we're only human. Thank you so much. Got a little song, you know. So, let's take for instance, there might be this prophecy that everything is going down. And I don't mean in a religious way. I mean like, everything is changing so much that we cannot see the future. And so then we drown in this ocean of cynicism. But I think what you've done today is you're going to cheat the prophecy. Because the unions will rise again. Terror in the streets, people glued to TV sets, blinded by the violence of retreat. Pursuing hope for a $3 note, but it's just a lie that the calm mass spend down the road, down the line. You know we're running out of time. Don't you know that it's 5 to 12 and I'm beside myself? Oh, 'cause I don't wanna live this way. Look into your heart right now. For the place where laughter fills the space. reason. I don't want to wait for someone's nuclear decision. Every time I've been shaken by the beauty, there must be a way for me to peacefully retaliate. In the book of Revelations, you will learn to read. There's fire and destruction, but know my love for you and me. In the end, all that we believe, it doesn't really matter if we don't cheat the prophecy. Look into your heart right now. Find a place where laughter fills the space. If you take on all the sadness that remains, send it all away. Send it all away. Look into your heart right now. Find a place where laughter fills the space. You can take on all the sadness that remains. Send it all away. Send it all away. Cheat the prophecy, cheat the prophecy, yeah. You can't cheat the prophecy. Oh, cheat the prophecy. Oh, the power of the image and the message of the word. And the message from the media, the message from the church, oh home. The power of the people who practice what they preach. Courage and conviction to change our destiny. From day to day, we'll find a way to push ourselves and to motivate. From day to day, we'll find a way. We're gonna push ourselves and to motivate. Yeah. From day to day to day, we're gonna find a way. We're gonna push ourselves, gonna motivate, yeah. From day to day, we'll find a way to push ourselves, push ourselves. Look into your heart right now. Find a place where laughter fills the space. Take out all the sadness that remains. Send it all away. Send it all away, yeah. Look into your heart right now. Find a place where laughter fills the space. You can take out all the sadness that remains. Send it all away. Send it all away. Cheat. Look at cheat. Well, cheat the prophecy. We're gonna fight back. Send it all away. Cheat the prophecy. Oh, thanks for sticking around. I know you've had a really long weekend, and we appreciate it. You know, I want to sing this next and last song in honor of you and what you're doing, but also in honor of a dear good friend who we're really thinking about a lot this month, and that's Jack Layton. Yeah, it's about love, not anger, right? And so for you, rise, people. I will be behind you. we're dancing to the sun. Rise up, and it's time for celebration. Rise up, Spirit's time has come. We want love, we want laughter again, we want heartbeat, we want madness in, we want dancing, we want to run in the streets, we want freedom to live in its peace, yeah. We want power, we want to make it okay, we want to be singing at the end of the day, and the children to breathe a new life. We want freedom to love who we please. Yeah. Help us out now. I gotta hear ya. Rise and share your power. We're dancing to the sun. It's time for celebration. Yeah, the Spirit's time has come. Talking about the right time to be working for peace. We're just wanting all the tensions in the world to ease. And we want to love. Don't you want to run wild in the streets? Want to be free. I just want to be free. Oh, talking about a new way. Talking about changing our names. We're building up this land of our dreams. This tightrope's got to learn how to bend. We'll be making new plans. We're going to start it again. Rise and share your power. You'll be dancing in the sun. 'Cause it's time for celebration. Spirit's time has come. My time has come. Your time has come. Oh, time for celebration, time for communication. Let's be vigilant, defiant as we rise. For all the walls to crash around us and the laws that try to blind us. Rise and share the power that we found. We must remember who we are tonight. Let's remember who we are tonight. As we climb our way to higher ground, we'll rise to higher ground. We will remember who we are tonight. We will remember who we are tonight as we rise up, rise and share your power. We're dancing to the sun. It's time for celebration. Spirit's time has come. You can rise and share your power. We're dancing to the sun. It's time for celebration. Spirit's time has come. Hey, my time has come, and your time has come. Everybody's time has come. Come on, boys, let's show them. And it's time. Oh, it's time. It's time. And it's time. And it's time for celebration. And it's time for jubilation. 'Cause it's time. It's time. It's time. It's about love and not anger. Walking all anxiety out the door. It's about hope and not fear. 'Cause hope and optimism brought us here. And it's time. Thanks for having us. Good luck. I'm behind you. Thank you. We love you. Thanks for bringing us here to celebrate with you.